Welcome everybody to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. Wishing all of you out there a very happy St. Patrick's Day. We are here in the arena today. We are going to be covering Valorant for the next little while. This is the coverage of the NECC Collegiate Valorant regular season. Each one of these matches takes us closer to those playoffs that we definitely hope to be qualifying in. The Broncos, after a tough loss last week, are sitting at 3-1, and so, interestingly enough, are their opponents. Joining me on the desk tonight is Jared Baratel Castiglione. And before we launch into the matchup itself, I want to ask you a question, Baratel. Are we going to see any Yoru? Or why or why not?
Most likely not. I think in tandem with a consideration for Viper even being played, both of those agents do a unique thing, but not unique enough to put themselves in a higher priority than any of the other agents that are available, just because what's already a staple has identified itself as a staple because of success and just tried and true practice.
Definitely agree with you on that. I think Yoru especially needs some changes to his escapability with his E before he's going to see much competitive play. You know, Jet, her dash activates instantly. You know, a lot of those abilities that get you out of trouble in the case of those duelists activate pretty much instantly. Raises blast packs have a very small delay before you can start moving very quickly. But Yoru has a good half second of you know, warm-up time before his teleport actually goes off, and he's just too vulnerable during that time, I think, for it to be really useful.
Yeah, if you could just keep Viper's ult as the only ability, that'd be perfect, and she'd be played all the time.
Right? Looking forward to seeing what's get picked today, but just a reminder for everybody of our rules tonight. This is the Valorant NECC League. We've got a 9-week series of more than 30 teams competing against each other. They compete in best-of-3 sets. Those are played on chosen maps that are picked ahead of time each week, so no loser picks maps here. But the home team is going to pick their opening side for the first and potentially third rounds, and the away team is going to pick their opening side for the second game. We're launching in very quickly, but the Broncos are highly ranked. It's very important to remember that. They are in our champions bracket. We also have challengers and emergents. Be careful not to underestimate anybody from those two brackets, because Valorant can be a game of momentum, and if somebody gets the momentum, they can steamroll and take a game away from you. Our opponents this week are Johnson and Wales, who are also 3-1, same as Broncos after their tough loss last week. So we're going to find out tonight if the Broncos are able to bounce back and get themselves back in the win column this week, or if they will go down to 3-2.
Yeah, and a lot of those games we saw against, of course, Florida Atlantic were just so close. And it just means that the Boise State rosters have an opportunity to learn from those defeats, similar to that of the other squads that we run in our other games that we compete in. Losing is kind of, interestingly enough, the biggest boon to our future success, because the whole program is revolving around adapting, overcoming, and learning from those really tough losses.
Absolutely. And, you know, what you take away from those losses can be the difference between any future losses or keeping themselves in the right mindset. Here is a look at the rankings, the standings for our Boise State Champions Division. Boise State, oh, we got a slight issue with our graphic there. Boise State is 3-1, as previously stated. Our opponents, Johnson and Wales, directly below us, also at 3-1. Very interesting to see how things are going to stack up there.
And it's going to be interesting as well as we continue to try and progress through this tournament and this bracket. We're watching Florida Atlantic soon, hopefully, to be a re-competitor of ours in the near future, because they did give us such a tough time this last week.
Very interested to see what happens if Florida Atlantic and UC Davis end up match against each other. That could be a heck of a fireworks show. Somebody's going to have to go down in the loser column. Be interesting to see who ends up on top there.
It just takes a few matters of time. And what's interesting as well about this is, you know, the publicity, if you will. Boise State teams usually do have the ability of being possibly the most scoutable team, just because we do love to showcase our teams as much as possible. But with that being said, again, we continue to use that information for our own benefit as well. We're always watching the VODs, we're reviewing things, saying, hey, this is going to what's work for us in the future. Maybe we don't try this again if we have the opportunity to. So really looking forward to, as the rest of the bracket develops, to see what's going to go on for these teams.
Broncos also making great strides in advancing their strategic play over last semester, making big strides in becoming a little bit more cerebral in the play that they make and not just winning rounds on that excellent gunplay of theirs. This is Boise State versus Johnson and Wales. We are ready to load up very soon into the game here, but before we do that, we're going to take a quick peek at what exactly we think is going to come out of this matchup. What do you think the Johnson and Wales team needs to do to put Boise State on the back foot early?
It kind of just depends on who takes momentum. We had suffered a lot of casualties and losing a lot of that early advantage that we're used to seeing for these Boise State rosters by not making the proactive plays quick enough. I mean, when it came to what team came out at the top and successful between Florida Atlantic and Boise State, Florida Atlantic got themselves in the driver's seat, and as I always like to mention, they got themselves in that 5-point harness and strapped themselves in. They didn't want to relinquish any control from that and kept that momentum, pushing Boise State at a pace that they weren't comfortable with.
Yeah, you can definitely see that Boise State does tend to struggle when they play at a tempo that is not their own. When they lose control of the tempo of the round, they tend to sputter out and become vulnerable to flanks and picks from behind and things like that. So them maintaining control of the tempo, I think, is paramount to them coming away with a W in this week.
Yeah, and a huge contrast between both squads is, yes, we did see, primarily when I was just last week, the blue team, I believe, or not the green team, the other roster, suffer a little bit of extra kind of casualties due to the fact that they may have had the jump on 1 or 2 members from Florida Atlantic, but through the suffering of miscalculations for gunplay, getting those shots just completely whiffed by, that ended up being punished repetitively and cost them the win there at the end. So I think alternatively with this green squad moving forward today, I don't know if that will be much of a problem, considering that we see so much consistent gunplay from this roster.
Very interesting to see how things turn out here, but before we launch in, let's bring you Doc's keys to the game in Valorant. You watch those corners. You be ready to trade when your teammates go down. And don't be afraid to use those ultimates, because they come back a lot quicker than you think. Doc's keys to the game are brought to you by Count. Count's Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences for more than 9,000 leading brands. I think the most important of those keys, specifically this, is the ability to trade your teammates. I think in an equal matchup, the difference between victory and defeat is going to be whether or not those Broncos teammates can trade out when they get a loss, or if one kill spirals out into 2, 3, and 4. That's what keeps the game under control, I think, for our Broncos squad here.
Yeah, speaking of control, Haven going to be the first map here, and we can see already the agents being locked in, loading already starting. These teams are ready to go. And we look at the control options for both teams. We only see one Cypher, and it's on the defending side, of course, for Johnson & Wales. So they want to go at this control-heavy style. But alternatively, Killjoy can do quite a high amount of control herself as well. Yeah,
Killjoy very much able to keep her information gathering game on point with all of that alarm bot, and her turret can reveal things without her even needing to be very close by. So under the right circumstances can play a very similar role as that Cypher does.
Typical start. Gonna go with the double shocks as well as that recon. Shock dart is so phenomenal, especially in the hands of Dreammaker, able to get not only the information out, but beyond that also get themselves a fair chunk of damage on especially such a low econ round as the first one.
Going to be interesting to see how fast the Broncos come out of the gate here. They do have some pretty standard purchases. Frenzy meta still ruling for Booty Bandito here, and they're going to come out hot into B-Long. No all W, no holding back. Right, does get smoked off, but they throw down the blaze wall, and Booty Bandito uses the tailwind to rush right in, but he will go down to a headshot. The Broncos have lost 2.
That was such a fantastic purchase. Going to get things 2 versus 3. Almost trying to OD things up. Unable to do so. It's just 1 member versus 3 here. Uses 1 shock dart. Goes for the retreat. Going to get shot here in the tail. Still has the ghost for maybe a recontest. Someone might challenge for an exit elimination. But the Broncos charging forward with that tailwind and not getting that frenzy to lock onto targets whenever they needed it to ended up costing them such a huge advantage so far.
Dreammaker all by himself, looking to potentially get a couple picks. It's going to be interesting to see if he can get any more than that in this round, though. Very low health. Gets 1, gets 2. Wow. Dreammaker on 15 health, good for 2 kills. There is 1 player remaining in the garage for the side of Johnson & Wales. That's Obi. But he does not know the location of Dreammaker. Should Dreammaker choose to rotate somewhere else and get the drop onto that Brimstone, he may get the last kill he needs in order to put this round away.
Obi holding this at such a fantastic angle. It's going to be a tall order. They know possibly where they are. They have the spike. Got to watch your right side, and unfortunately with the minimum amount of health, be a free pickup for Obi, but he gets the headshot regardless.
Yeah, just nothing you can do there. 15 health. There's so many angles to check without any information. Unfortunately, that recon dart goes in for Dreammaker, and he just doesn't find any information whatsoever. So, uncertain of where he should look, gets himself backstabbed by the player waiting in garage. Well played there by Obi, holding a great angle. What can you do? You know,
it still remains true that your hat's playing someone with the hat if you consider a hood a hat.
It's true. We have yet to see your hat play anybody without a hat.
And rightfully so. Looks like they're going to switch things up, maybe going towards that garage push. Could be their goal here, but mid doors is going to be their main access point. Using as much as information gathering as they can. Going to keep it nice, slow, and steady before they commit to something. Nice shots here, but the Sheriff not going to be able to get what they needed to just yet. Trade 25 for maybe a little bit of chip damage. Could be the call here. Pushing forward, miss 1, 2. Actually get some of the shots there on body, but no headshots available just yet. and everything's going to be used here. Smokes from both sides will be used, and on the backside there is a little bit of rotation flank. It's now 4 versus 4. They were able to find things out quick enough. Soldier's going to try and do what they can to lay down the Spectre there as possible, but it does look like everything continues to take a nice slow pace. Shots here going through the clouds, uninformed in a nice push decision. But look at the health values for both teams. There's one member possibly from the side of Johnson and Wales, and it's just Opie with the minimal health bar. And on the side of Boise State, your hat's limping over here to the speed point.
Last player standing.
Last player standing. Shots here, the wall bang, but it won't be enough as a headshot coming out from the rest of the squad here. Phoenix v Phoenix, and it ends up being a very fruitful for Johnson and Wales.
Tough 2-0 there, putting the Broncos down, but kind of expected a little bit that they would lose that second round. You know, losing the pistol tends to put you at a disadvantage for the second. And it is the norm that you do tend to lose that second round if you go down in the first one. But this should be a round for the Broncos. They have a full buy gun round. Their loss adjuster, shall we say, has cranked up to maximum. You know, once you lose 2 rounds in a row, you get the most amount of cash you're ever going to get from losses. So this puts them on equal ground, if not ahead of Johnson and Wales, because Johnson and Wales are mostly playing with the guns they saved over from the round previous. So they may not have everything that they would like to have going into this round. Although
Nice
that
shots
said,
here.
their Boise State comes out, loses 2 immediately, but Lycan will answer back with one of his own. This is a 4-on-3 favor going to Johnson and Wales.
It is interesting that Dreammakers posted up here when they use so many different resources from Killjoy to, you know, prevent another side flank or rotating flank from the backside. But, you know, give respect where respect's due. Interesting as well for them to push A long when they know that someone's here, possibly with a long-range opportunity. Going to go for that shoulder jiggle that you so affectionately called previously. Your hat looking for an engage, going to turn around the corner. He knows someone's there, but he didn't get the actual peek. He didn't confirm by turning the corner, and the spike is now down, giving Johnson and Wales a huge opportunity to just watch that angle. Boise State now having to retreat back to that side, doing what they can. Here comes some of that smoke. Utility, but going to get someone all turned down as well, almost a your hat impression. Pushing forward 2 versus 3. They do know possibly where they can attack. Nice dodge here. The operator will be missed out, but Heaven will be one that strikes first. And a double shot. King as well getting a headshot as well. And another pretty secure round, pretty comfortable round here from Johnson and Wales.
Yeah, they're up 3-0. Very interesting the way Broncos chose to play that. I honestly really liked their approach in the round. I know they lost the round, but you know, the way that they tried to take control, look for picks, and then decide on a site after they had weakened and, you know, drawn out some rotations. Really, really smart play from them, I think. I think under a lot of different circumstances it would have worked, but you know, they lost 2 players so early in the round, and then Johnson and Wales were just able to put the chokehold on them that there just wasn't a lot of places for them to go. So, well played from the Broncos, just better play from Johnson and Wales there.
Another shot from this operator, a deadly one in the eyes of this Mandrake, and going to continue to hold whatever angle they need to. Here comes the hot hands, keeping a nice barrier from entry. Going to go shoot through the doors when someone's around here. Here comes that blind. The curveball will be given out, but not able to get some success through that. Shots through this wall. It's going to be a dangerous one to engage with no vision, but there will be chip damage spread all the way around. And another purchase of Sheriff. Such an interesting buy from 2 members of the Boise State squad. But again, when you're trying to save out and still get a high-power gun, what a great one to do so. Shots will be given out, but unfortunately, Bandito will suffer again. This kind of that low-power gun with the Sheriff. Gonna go for the curveball as well. Gonna get picked off the 2 versus 1. A flawless coming out. And it does look like Swindle was the front runner there in that exchange.
Swindle swinging hard and taking down plenty of people as he just tears it up with that phantom of his. The Broncos were on another save as that gun round in the 3rd round just went very poorly for them. Johnson and Wales now absolutely swimming in cash. The Broncos do have enough for a full buy this round, but they'll be right back on to another save next round if it does not go their way, I think.
In this position, what do you think would be the change up here for Boise State for them to maybe get a 1 in that zeros column right there?
I think Johnson and Wales are playing pretty aggressively. They tend to flank quite hard. They've done that in several rounds. I think the Broncos need to fake, make some rotations to other directions, try and draw somebody out of position and then get a pick. I think them trying to push into a site beforehand is just not going to work for them. And that is exactly what they need to get that started. Dreammaker getting the first kill with his Hunter's Fury and then sending in the recon dart to confirm that there's nobody else playing B main. That's going to give Broncos information And they can tell that there are some people playing in garage because the owl drone came out from there as well. So they're going to rotate. Perfectly planned. They rotate down through C long where nobody else is playing. They even draw a little bit of attention towards garage by Legit Soldier using his running back to get in there. So now the Broncos have just one member who's actually playing C main to deal with as they push in there. They'll get one kill. It's a 4 versus 3 in the Broncos' favor as everybody from the side of the Johnson & Wales team has been locked out. The Broncos have total control of the site, and this is exactly what I was talking about, Baratel. They play a little bit of misdirection, they move around a little bit before they decide to confirm to a site, and they got the advantage.
What a fantastic call. Again, you know, from the man himself, Dreammaker, whenever he pops Hunter's Fury, it's literally almost an instant kill because he very rarely misses those. Said the paranoia coming out. They want to use whatever resources they can, sparingly, of course. It looks like they're going to continue what they can to push this forward, and we do have about probably say maybe 14 seconds until that starts getting to a point of no return here for the defuse. And there it goes. It's going to be attackers 1 through eliminations, but it won't be enough time for us to blow up just yet, so they are going to walk away with it. And just as we continue to start wondering what needed to change for Boise State, they gave us the answer, and it was exactly what they did. They played it more conservatively, kind of how you mentioned, a little bit more of that bait and switch. Waited for Johnson and Wales to make a aggressive push forward and then capitalize on that maybe overexertion of power.
Yeah, they were really able to bait out a lot of rotation. Johnson & Wales do tend to rotate away from sites and to sites pretty quickly. So they got even just a whiff of aggression in B, and everybody abandoned C site, and that gave the Broncos the entry point they needed. I think that's the key for them to come out on top in a lot of these attacking rounds.
Recon drone, recon dart specifically going to come out. Shots going to be given away from that ramp.
Ooh, gets a headshot dink through the wall.
Nice dink there. You got 10, looking like a lot of armor and some health being given away. Actually going to be able to secure things though, like in not opening up possibly a path for Boise State to push through, finding a nice chink in the armor that is the Johnson & Wales defense. But I still like the consideration for going any one of these 3 points. They haven't committed to something fully just yet. And this kind of, well, that's not going to be too good. This kind of, I would say, for lack of better terms, apprehension is an informed one and a good one at that. Here comes, of course, some of that fantastic detainment. Going to be able to give a little bit of pre-tell as to what they're going for, but this isn't entirely a bait, I believe. Boise State now considering the other side of the map for their target, and they are going to get the spike planted. Fantastic bait out from the Killjoy, and now they just need to hold this.
Yeah, the bait works perfectly. Once again, they place with some trickery. Here's a little lesson in trickery for you. And they get exactly what they need, forcing the players from Johnson & Wales off of C site. They push on in and get the spike planted, but they're going to get backstabbed.
No one watching C long, or maybe watching C long and couldn't win out on that duel. 14 HP remaining for Dreammaker, and it is a 2 versus 2. We do see a nice rotation here from King, but he will be taking out Bandito versus the World. He has a full ammo clip now as well. No need for using the knives. Going to go forward with a little bit of extra speed. Going to go for the fake defuse, and he actually baits it out. He actually gets the defuse off. Wonderful job here from Obi to bait that out with that defuse. Completely turned the whole rhyme and success reason for the Boise State squad against them, trying to get that bait and switch out. And ended up working out for him for well.
Very close there. Almost had what he needed, but, you know, the jet from the side of the Boise State there just potentially peaking just a little bit too early. Might have just gotten pushed, you know. Not much you can do in that situation, but maybe the time getting to him, nerves getting to him just a little bit there, and Bandito coming out the worst for wear on that duel, but very close, almost able to get what he needs. Earlier in the round, the ability to use an entire ultimate just to bait players away from the site you intend to hit is chef's kiss, Baratel. It's genius. I love it.
Here comes the knives already coming out from Bandito. Going to push forward with some backup there. These knives in the right hands can be quite devastating. For those that don't know, you have 5 at your disposal. It's 150 damage to the head. And as soon as you get an elimination with those bad boys, they actually reset to full. So you can continue to almost snowball single-handedly. And it does look like Boise State wants to kind of back up that play. There are a few members on this side of the map, and it does not look like C is going to be something they consider for this round.
Yeah, they're going to push up just a little bit into sewers and A long. For one of the first times in this round, they're kind of pushing a site to begin with instead of looking for some early picks and then trying to decide on the site later. For better or for worse, that's going to result in Swindle getting 2 headshot kills in sewers. Your Hat and Legit Soldier will answer back with two of their own, though, and we're in an even game. The hot hands go in, deny anybody from entering the site, like in places down the turret and the alarm bot. The swarm grenades to prevent the defuse later on in the round.
So
the Broncos have set up everything they need to keep this post plant in their favor. Smoke's even going to come in to prevent anybody from seeing what they need to see in the long ranges. But there is somebody up in heaven. Might have gotten a glimpse of Your Hat. He's going to get the kill onto the run-it-backs, Phoenix there, who will go down. Then they take down the one in heaven, so now it's a 2 versus 3 in the favor of the Broncos. Your Hat with only just one bullet in his gun. Going to have to change to that classic because he doesn't have any bullets to shoot with, and that's going to result in him losing the duel against Obi. And so now a 1v1 for Legit Soldier. The blind comes out. Not sure if that actually connected with the Brimstone from the side of Johnson and Wales, and he loses the duel.
Again,
he won't get it though.
He
the time
actually
is not
barely
his.
ran out.
Time is not there for Johnson and Wales. The time played better
Oh, and he
for
gets
Boise
clipped
State.
as well by the spike. Fantastic call here for the side of Boise State to consider maybe we don't want to spread out so thin when we have this fantastic and powerful ultimate from, of course, Bandito. And the backup was just insane. Yes, they do go down too early, Lycan as well as Bandito, but the rest of the squad being there, Dreammaker as well as Your Hat, just backing things up to such an nth degree was a fantastic call. And again, that wouldn't have been possible if they considered spreading themselves amongst all 3 points.
Absolutely. The Broncos switching up their tactics there once again, trying to play things just a little bit differently, and it does catch Johnson and Wales unaware. I think that is going to be the key for them on this attacking side. I just need to talk for just a second about how much I love that lineup for Sova right there through the garage doors.
It's like a little ping pong ball kind of.
Beautiful, beautiful. Louis Bandito is knocked down to 5 health though, so he is very much the worst for wear. Going to have to play it carefully for the rest of this round. Ooh, but some shots traded back onto the Johnson Wales players of themselves. So while they do lose Booty Bandito, there is the possibility for the Broncos to make a quick play earlier on, get some damage of their own.
Wow, shots just being exchanged everywhere, and it looks like Soldier will actually get through the doors at wallbang, trying to get themselves as much of an advantage as possible. They are now just trying to tie things up 2 versus 3, but oh, look at Opie's health bar right now. Half diminished through the wallbang, as well as some expert shots and shoulder jiggles from the side of the Broncos. And that's kind of what they want to do. They do know where the spike is. It's going to be in a very comfortable hands of Killjoy, and maybe they consider to push more of this advantage through Garage.
I don't think they
should.
should.
But it's a pretty toughly defended position. Last player standing, going to go for the shot. The Sheriff Huge is going to be 1 versus 2. Does have to run it back. Can maybe get an exchange kill. Here comes the curveball pushing forward. Going to get the blind as they needed to. Don't need it for the ultimate, but maybe if they ulted there instead, could have been huge. A Thrifty going over to Johnson and Wales, meaning that they were pretty comfortable in their loadout that they had previously.
I'm not a big fan of that play for the Broncos. I have to be perfectly honest. They had gained so much information about the whereabouts of the Johnson Wales players. There were 3 remaining. 2 of them were playing in Garage. That means at most, the Broncos, when they were down to just the 2 of them there, towards the end of the round, they knew that at most there was 1 player playing A. There were actually nobody playing A, but they didn't know exactly that with the information they'd gained. At worst, there was only 1 player playing that A site. I think they should have rotated and headed towards A. It just doesn't make sense in my mind to keep continuing to push that Garage angle when it hadn't worked out for them and they knew somebody was still playing that angle over and over again.
I want to agree with you. I only think the only criticism for that play was not using the Phoenix ult there, the run it back to get the exchange 1-for-1. Yes, it does signal that you're using the ultimate, but because of the fact that it's a pretty widespread vocal auto queue, you can almost assume that it's anywhere used, and they were just wanting to check a corner safely. Luckily, it ended up working for them for the 1-for-1 trade. But if they had the ultimate, maybe they could go for a recontest or use that informed decision knowing that someone was in Garage to then make a play towards A or maybe even B.
Yeah, I think a combination of either one of those 2 could have turned things around a little bit in that round for Boise State there, but the decision to continue to push mid through Garage when it really wasn't working for them, and the decision not to use the run it back there for Legit Soldier just hurting them and costing them around in that round right there. They're going to send that recon dart into Garage as they've done most rounds, but it won't catch anything. That hot hands will tell them there is a Phoenix playing Garage though, so that gives them just as much information as the recon dart would have. Swindle gets an early headshot kill in a lobby, putting the Broncos down a man. They'll see him though at the bottom of the sewers and the answer back with a classic shot of one of their own. The Broncos are on even ground again.
Smoke going up to heaven, which means that this is going to be the point of contention for them. Nice trades all around, and again, the full reinforced squad is not here making it. They're going to go for Under Heaven. Some people affirm it as Under Heaven just to be safe. Here comes a lot of that paranoia and smokes all around. No orbital strike available, and here it comes, just as I was about to say. Gonna stop things from being planted, but as we already know, it's already ticking down. The blinds are gonna come out from both sides, and Fate will get another pick. Gonna be traded over, and the Soldier's gonna pick up things with a classic, actually. Sheriff will be picked up in a thrifty from the Broncos. A fantastic bait. It's into the clouds, giving a lot less information than maybe Johnson and Wales was comfortable pushing forward into, but with the timer ticking down, it almost puts you in almost a pseudo-panic spot, and you have to make a decision shortly.
I love the play to slip back into the smoke there from the jet on the side of Boise State there. You know, see, right here, he doesn't give away his position, gives himself time to reload, time to reset, and then he has the final player for Johnson and Wales pushing into him instead of vice versa. I also want to highlight that all three of the Broncos rounds, oh, there's Dreammaker with his Odin, you better run now. But all three of these rounds that the Broncos have taken so far have come off of them getting control of the site first and forcing Johnson and Wales to retake into them. I think the Broncos need to capitalize on the weakness that Johnson and Wales have shown in pushing into them to get control of a site first and then, you know, play the retake, because I think that's where they look strongest so far on this attack. When they're pushing into a site that they know is already occupied, they tend to struggle.
You're gonna give as much hesitation as possible. Still going through the cage, which will give a little bit of that auditory cue, but not something that they're worried about too much. A lot of recons being used, and here comes again that hot hands trying to get some healing back up. Shots coming across the board, though. A headshot from King will secure it, and that is a full restock of the knives here on the side of Johnson and Wales. That's 5 dangerous daggers they need to be very dartful against, and it's going to be one versus about a couple. Making it 3, as we were just mentioning, it was going to be a tall order for them to try and push through, but this could be an opportunity for them to use the smoke to, unfortunately, the dismay of Johnson and Wales. That's the interesting thing about a lot of these smokes here, Voiceless, is the fact that it can actually be used against you.
Yeah, you have to be very careful about where you place those smokes, because they can do more harm than good in the wrong circumstances. They can let, you know, if your hat had chosen to, he easily could have rotated out past that smoke and then taken a 1v1 against the player who's playing a lobby, when you know, you really don't want to be giving the final player remaining on an enemy team any more 1v1s than he desperately, absolutely has to take.
And Dark picking up 2 kills with those knives, and that's why you like playing Jet on your team. It's someone that you can guarantee that you still have a fighting chance with, even without going full commit with that econ. And getting that thrifty for a second round in a row for them, they're able to continue to stock up on that necessary monetary resource to save up for, you know, maybe adapting to whatever the Broncos want to bring to the table.
I think the difference maker there for the Broncos not being able to pull that round out is that while they did gain site control, Johnson and Wales were not retaking. They were lurking just outside that lobby corner, waiting to come back in the second they felt the advantage, felt a little bit of weakness from the Broncos. So they didn't really have control of the site, even though they did end up on the site. The spike never went down. They didn't feel safe. So I think they need to get to sites with fewer players from Johnson and Wales on site in order to capitalize on that advantage.
4 versus 4. Going to continue to take things slow, but Mandark has other plans. Pushing forward, they know someone is a lobby. They're going to try to get themselves secured, and they do so. Dreammaker picking up 1, and it is going to be, of course, a fantastic pickup for them. Moving forward, though, it is just 2 versus 3. They need to do this with some relative quickness. Hot hands will try and block things up as much as possible. Here comes the spike, and no one's pushing just yet. It's going to be that fantastic call of whether or not you recontest or continue to lurk for the last couple seconds. Not going to be a huge opportunity for them to waste time, and a great call there on the Blaze to try and get it curved around the corner, but you just gave a big old exclamation point on your head as to where you are. Johnson was picking up quickly that elimination, and now it's just Dreammaker versus 3. Does have the Hunter's Fury. Are going to trade 1-for-1. Both of these players instantly locking onto the head of the other and taking a 1-for-1 trade, but that will give another round over to Johnson and Wales. Yeah,
unfortunately, the position he was lined up in there did get him the kill he needed, but it also put him vulnerable to the backstab coming in from the Phoenix on the side of Johnson and Wales. And now Broncos down 8-3, and the final round of the half is coming up here. They will have a full buy for it. But the best they can do going into the half is 8-4, and that's really not where you want to be.
That's a tough one. Also, previous to the previous round, so 2 rounds ago, I think a huge deterrent in Boise State fully committing to A-Point was when your hat had ulted underneath Heaven, the Shade got eliminated before the teleport had completed, kind of resulting in them not having as much of a stronghold on that point as possible.
Exactly. Now they're cheating towards C just a little bit, but I think Lycan's position may reveal the true intent of what they're going for here. Potentially an A bait into a C push. They haven't, oh, there they have. They've made some noise a little bit on C. That's C. You can see the players on the minimap from Johnson and Wales all cheating and rotating towards C. If they can come out on top of these rotations, and they have done so far, they'll be able to get the round in this final round of the half. Booty Bandito holding this long angle with those knives of his. Those are great at long range. We'll miss all of them right there, but we'll get information that there is somebody playing the rush. There's only 2 players remaining for Johnson and Wales. One is flanking, but he will not get away undetected. There is a turret, and there is an alarm bot there that will keep him from pushing through the long angle. That's going to keep him out of that flanking position. He is going to try get a kill. He will get a kill onto Dreammaker in the back there, but he is all on his lonesome now against 4, and that attacker Killjoy ultimate, the lockdown there, is going to keep him from pushing it any further.
I do also like the respect from Lycan backing up, of course, that one defender pushing themselves towards, preventing any sort of spawn here. And it does look like Dreammaker did suffer the casualty of not watching back flank. And Swindle does end up getting an exit elimination here, but before the switch, it doesn't really matter. But a nice pickup as well, knowing that, hey, maybe there's someone still around here in the backside of our spawn.
Yeah, very smart to know that even though none of the utility had been tripped over there, the turret hadn't gone off, the alarm bot hadn't activated, but just smart to realize through process of elimination that they hadn't gone anywhere else, they hadn't seen them in quite some time, so the flank play was very likely at that point. We'll see if the Broncos on this defensive half can play any better than they were able to the first half. Maybe, they're just play style is going to just lend them a little bit more to a defensive half this time.
Trades across the board. Mandark will get a pickup, but also will be taken out in kind. Soldier doing what they can to hold this angle. It's going to be another pickup for them. A headshot, 2 versus 1. Evening things 3-2. No, now it's going to be 2 versus 3. And now it's going to be suffer time for either team. A nice rotation and a grouping of members will give Johnson and Wales another round victory in their belt.
Almost got what they needed there, did the Broncos. Send in that shock dart, get 1 kill, but the final re-entry for the final 2 Broncos just goes a little bit awry, positioning a little bit better for Johnson and Wales. They come ahead in the pistol. As we said in the previous round, that puts them in a pretty good position to come away with this next round as well. That makes the score 10-4 more than likely at the end of this round. That doesn't give the Broncos many chances left to fail a round before they're able to turn things around here.
Voices, normally I would agree with you, but you are sitting at a magical and mythical device called the caster desk, in which whenever you say anything with certainty, most of the time you kind of get put in your place and put your foot in your mouth. But we'll see. We'll see if you've had your vitamins to prevent foot and mouth syndrome.
Caster curse is always a very real thing here. Dreammaker going to send some shots through the door. He'll get information on 1 with that frenzy of his. Broncos have a full save, so they are not going to play very well at most long ranges at the moment. Ooh, perfectly swung from Booty Bandito. Will get exactly the information he needs before that cage hides the enemy from view.
We'll see what's going to end up happening. Tie things up 4 versus 4, and just as we had mentioned, using obscurity to block out your opponent can also block out your vision of them. Fate not needing to block anything out, gets a 2-piece, and is going to move forward to help his team push through B and make an informed decision. On the backside, though, will be Dreammaker, keeping the lives and dreams of Boise State alive. Pushing forward, going to just be a little bit too late to contest this. Spike will be planted. Here comes the contesting, and no retake available as it's just Bandito versus the world. And 3 members of Johnson and Wales will, of course, share the spoils of that victory.
So, Caster Curse not coming into effect in defense of the Broncos this time. It is 10-4. That only gives a couple chances left to the Broncos to turn things around because they do have a full buy this round. That's great. If they are not able to come out of that after that, you're looking at 11-4, and that's when things get dicey because once you reach match point, we're looking at best at an overtime play. At worst, you have to win many rounds without dropping a single one, and things get very, very scary there. So Broncos need to get a hold on this game before it gets out of their hands with the gun round they have in front of them at the moment.
A swarm of these cats are coming through. It's almost a whole pack of them. Shots will be given out, and getting themselves out of dodge just with that tailwind is going to be huge for them because they got a lot of information. Know that there's 1 more member possibly charging here. It will be a huge point of contention for the side of Johnson and Wales, but no one has faltered just yet. And looks like the Broncos are going to continue to do what they can to hold every other angle until the call is called. Here comes a curveball as well. Shots everywhere, and the exchange will go even 2 for 2. But now on the backside, a final headshot will put an exclamation point in advantage. On the other side of the map, though, the Broncos will now get a nice straggler. It's kind of taken out. No spike being planted just yet. Owl drone will be used. They want to contest as much as they can. And they know that there's some resources being used here. They heard the beeping and things are going to be planted. And the spike will successfully be planted. But here we go. Dreammaker with the patented gut of theirs. The running back will be used. And it's now just a matter of 2 versus 2. All angles being held in such supremacy from the side of Johnson Wells. But look how much pressure they're pushing all the members out of their comfort spots. A lot of pressure being given from Lycan and all of these utility resources. Now the Swarm will not be able to be enough as King will pick things up on the backside. The fake defuse could still be going. They know that that's a full defuse and not the 50% just because of the auditory cue. It's going to be a 1 versus 1. He has to go for at least a 50% and then drop off. Does not do so. Goes for the taking out the drone. And it looks like he's just going to concede this as much as possible. Not going to be able to get the challenge. Going to go for a fake defuse again. But I think both members will fall here. Nope, they actually barely get themselves out of here. And the exit kill, baiting and shepherding him into the welcoming arms of Dreammaker, showing I'm the best over here.
Exit kills all well and good, but you really want to walk away from that round with a win. And I question the use of so many pump fakes on that defuse by Dreammaker. I feel like at some point, if the enemy hasn't shown his face in 2 or 3 pump fakes, it's time to just commit to one.
Right.
But he just keeps trying it, and he loses all of his time.
The big thing too is we knew where the recon bolt was coming from specifically. You can get your defuse to 50% and then continue to maybe fake the defuse at the 50%, putting more pressure on Johnson and Wells to respond. But not something they can do here. Nice obscurity coming out as well. Bandito doing what they can to get themselves in a powerful position. Here comes that Owl drone. Gonna get shot here as he jumps up. Unfortunately, does not get the updraft. Maybe get themselves more so high. Tailwind forward, and the reload will actually be the death of, unfortunately, your hat. And a quick and swift, flawless coming out of the side of Johnson and Wells will give them a 12th and possible map point opportunity here.
This is exactly what I was afraid of a couple rounds ago. The Broncos lose out on that gun round, are forced into a thrifty. They lose both, and now you're on match point. At best, for the Broncos, they're headed for overtime. But even just to get there, they've got to win 8 in a row. They need to play flawless Valorant between now and overtime in order to even have a chance of sending this one into the W column for the Broncos. And that's just a tall order. I'm never going to say it can't be done, because never say die. We're like the Goonies here on Boise State. But you never, ever want to be in this position if you can avoid it.
So it does look like A is no longer the point of contention for Johnson and Wells. And Dreammaker trying to hold these doors the best they can, but does not have that patented Odin to do so. Supremacy does not seem like it's necessary just yet. Firing the bolt from the Owl drone, not going to be enough. Actually gets it implanted, trying to get the secure, which is Hunter's Fury. Missing 2 wide and going to go for the long shot across the map.
Exactly where you are.
Here comes that neural theft, and this could be a huge boon and enough information for Johnson Wells to make the most informed decision that they can. They know that the Boise State roster is kind of spread pretty thin here, not only in numbers but also in location. And now they just need to try and figure out the weakest point to get themselves in a possible win for the map.
Yeah, Boise State unfortunately are going to completely take the bait that is the play on A site, and they will not realize until they hear the beep of the planting spike that it is actually headed to the other side of the map. So now they're forced to retake, but so far it's going well for them. They get a headshot kill, and one of the players for the side of Johnson and Wales is actually not in position. He's back in attacker spawn, so the Broncos have full control of this site now. Granted, it is very tough for people to push down that long hallway, especially with a Hunter's Fury to keep the defuse from coming in. But the Broncos still have the time to keep it deep. They have the time. One coming in from garage. You don't know he's there, but the defuse does come through. Johnson and Wales not able to respond fast enough in order to get that defuse stopped. So the Broncos do come away with a win, and that's the start of things for them. That's how they get it started.
Yeah, and a great play from them as well. Yes, they did take the bait, but that reclaim here from them, just recontesting this with almost impunity, was a phenomenal call from them, even up against so many resources such as the clouds being used from both Jet as well as Brim. So it's not enough for them to get themselves in a safety spot. Boise State sweeps through and gets a nice recontested, gets a full elimination count as well, meaning that a lot of the members, if not all of them, are going to go ahead and waste some of that econ to get another or similar loadout as previously used. And this could be the start of something beautiful for the Broncos.
Yeah, it's very interesting there that the Johnson and Wales team decided to. Ooh,
Nice
beautiful
shot.
headshot through the
Spike
door
down
from
mid.
Dreammaker.
Owl drone coming out, knowing that there's someone else there going to be taken out, but here comes the orbital strike on one member. That's an interesting call from them. They are knowing that someone's here around the corners for Garage, but he will be taken out. And now 3 versus 3 will be, what's the kill count here at the end of this dust selling. These doors are going to be the most skirty ones possible as they continue to house several bullet holes. But it's not enough. Both teams kind of trying to relinquish this, maybe trying to go somewhere else, if anywhere. Maybe go to a point where you can plant the bomb. But now finally considering that that's the opportunity to leave those doors alone finally, and they can have some reprieve. But look at the loadouts now as things kind of settle. We have an operator on the Broncos side, and they are going to continue to try and hold these angles. But with the operator being such a long-range powerhouse, it's interesting to me that Johnson & Wales is considering a pseudo-long-rangeable point for contention. Actually
left.
not. The wall bang gets a little bit mitigated. Those long angles are going to be not something that's comfortable for possibly the Vandal here, but operator could be huge. It's 2 versus 2. The hot hands will come out. Spike will be planted. They have to go through some security. Here comes, of course, that curveball. Not getting anyone in that blind. Going to find someone on the backside, and Legit Soldier will actually pick up the last one here necessary. Brimstone going to have a tough time contesting 1 versus 2, but it is possible, and they need to find where the spike is first.
Yeah, they have a pretty good idea based on the planting location of the spike that the final player is in long, especially in the process of elimination.
Nice
they get
shot.
the headshot over the top of the box. Defuse will come in the Broncos, yet live. 12 to 6. They are still on the win column for now.
Interesting that they didn't split that. I think that with the way that Soldier's using this running back so effectively, getting them that 1 pip closer to getting the ultimate could have been huge. But at the same time, I also consider Jet's ultimate to be incredibly strong. And this is what I've been waiting for. Yes, when the swap happened, they did suffer a couple rounds, not going so much in their favor. But now that the Odin is comfortably purchasable from Dreammaker, you think it's a crazy sentence, but that is probably one of the best guns here to hold that garage point for the Broncos against Johnson and Wales.
Especially when it is in the hands of Dreammaker. The recon dart goes wide and will not get much for them. Only just 1 reveal onto Soldier. He'll be blinded and unable to trade shots with Fate, so the Johnson and Wales team come in strong, taking down 3, and now the Broncos are on the back foot. They're going to have to retake in a 2 versus 5.
Last
Someone's
player
up in here. They have to be careful. You only have 1 HP, but unfortunately, going to go for a little bit of that wiggle. Serpentine was not really the call there, but ultimately, you know, they definitely put it at their best, getting some rounds back into their favor. It does give the map over to Johnson and Wales, though.
That is a rough one for Boise State to come out on the bottom of in Haven. They had moments of brilliance, but just, I think, a little bit just thrown off balance by the pace that Johnson and Wales were taking with them a lot of the time. And in a lot of those retake positions, it felt like they had, you know, just the wrong angles set up. They were struck by blinds at just the worst possible time. Sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And now we got to be very careful about how the Broncos play the next map, or this could be a very quick 2-0 loss for the Broncos here. Score Pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your Valorant game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. That's esportstower.com. Unlock your true talent.
It's a tough one, right?
I just got to take a breath after that. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it was a nail biter. It was kind of an anxious situation, and I don't blame you for feeling that way at all whatsoever. Just because, you know, the Bronco team was put up against the wall, and they started to get themselves out of that corner, but a few rounds going awry for them put them at just a little bit too much of a disadvantage for that map. But there are possibly 2 more maps for them to try and take things in consideration, say, hey, this is the way they like to play this game. Johnson and Wales has a very exploitable this or exploitable that, something maybe well beyond my comprehension for them to turn things around in their favor. So we'll have to see how this next map goes.
I still think the tactic that Boise State needs to lean on just a little bit harder is misdirection and aggression when it comes to taking control of those sites. In the rounds that they force Johnson and Wales to be the cold retake team, I'm not talking about you have one player who's still a little bit on site and he can get a trade and then other people come in. I mean, when you get an early kill or even just an out-rotation of the enemy team and Boise State was on the site first with tons of time to spare, Johnson and Wales look real cold pushing in, and I think that's an avenue that the Broncos need to exploit further if they want to carry out more of those attacking rounds their way as we head into map 2.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. There was something that you mentioned that we didn't really get a lot of time to talk about, and it is that first initial elimination. Most of the rounds in which the Broncos kind of floundered to regain control of were moments in which they maybe had just stepped out a little bit too far against cover, immediately get taken out by an expert headshot from the side of Johnson and Wales, and at that point, they continue to try and push with a disadvantage. There are some times it ended up working for them, but more often than not in that first map, it cost them too much to lose a player so early in that round.
Exactly. That is going to do it for map 1, everybody. We're going to take a short break and come back with map number 2 in this best of 3 series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure. Legendary parts for legendary wins.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena for our coverage of the NECC Collegiate Valorant regular season. We are down 0-1 against Johnson and Wales, and we are heading into map 2 of this best of 3 series that the Broncos are taking on following a tough loss last week, hoping to improve to 4-1 rather than dropping to 3-2. Before we get set and ready for the second map, I just want to ask you really quickly, Baratel, do you think that any agent changes are needed to help the Broncos come out on top in this next map?
What a great question, actually. I think there are some changes that may be a little bit more beneficial for them to get some further success. We saw how instrumental the Cypher was for the side of Johnson and Wales, and I think that's a great adaptation they can make moving forward because the amount of surveillance, the amount of just information given over, we talk about it all the time. It gives your team the ability to make a more informed decision. You always want to take the path of either least resistance or the least risky play moving forward, and having that information makes it pretty easy to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There are possibly some agent switch-ups that need to be made. Just a quick reminder for everybody of our rules tonight. Valorant NECC League, that's where you're at. That's what you're watching. This is a 9-week series of more than 30 teams playing in best of 3 sets. So we're in the middle of one of those right now. Those set maps are decided ahead of time each week, and the home team is going to pick their opening side for the first and third maps, if we have a third map, and the away team is going to pick their opening side for the second game. Broncos are down in this series, so they're at 0-1, so they need this second map to be a victory, or they will be walking away with another loss this week. If they can win, we're going to a third game, a third map, and that one is for all the marbles.
Yeah, it's not something we see very often, and that's because of how highly ranked a lot of these teams are in this Champions Division. But also considering a lot of potential contenders coming out of the Challengers as well as the Emergents. So just don't discredit any team here on these rosters.
Absolutely. The Broncos down to Johnson Wales at the moment, who are from that Emergence bracket. So definitely players and teams to be feared in these lower brackets. They are not to be taken lightly. I think that the Broncos need a little bit of a reset. You got to kind of just shake off that first round. You got to let it just go, reset your mind, your mental state, and try and move into this first map or the second map as if it's your first map. You know, try and just take it one game at a time and come away with the win in this one, because I think if you allow yourself to be tilted and thrown off a little bit by that first map, you're just going to take a loss again in the second one.
And look at those guys down there. That's the team that we're watching tonight. Of course, we have Bandito, Ethan Cobb. Dreammaker is Luke Edwards. We also have Soldier, Jack Wilcox, Lycan, Blake, looks like Ramsey, and then, of course, your hat with Set Banta there. A fantastic roster. We've seen them do this kind of pseudo-superpower in between maps and rounds that may not have gone their way, and it's the ability to kind of compartmentalize them into we'll review this later. Let's just focus on the next map. That one didn't matter just now. We'll review it in VODs at practice. I'm sure Dr. Haskell will give us a firm talking to as to what went wrong, and we'll be able to move forward learning from that mistake that we may have made on that previous map.
Be very interesting to see how much they're able to reset themselves and come out strong in this second map. We talked before about how much the Broncos thrive on controlling the tempo of a game, and I think it's really important that they control the tempo early in this second map that we're going to be playing here, because when they fall down early, it can tilt them a little bit, and you know, they had a tough time coming back. They were starting to make things happen just a little bit, but then, you know, when you don't have any rounds to spare, you're already on match point. There's just not much that can be done when one round doesn't go your way.
I think, you know, you previously asked before this kind of got in conversation what can change between, of course, this Boise State Broncos roster versus, of course, Johnson and Wales University and, of course, this NEC Collegiate match for Valorant. And to answer the question a little bit further, you criticize from your kind of higher level of expertise that the pacing needs to be either matched, but I offer, what if the option for Boise State to succeed is to mitigate that momentum? Are there agents in question that can prevent, you know, this team from Johnson and Wales to move forward so almost freely?
Absolutely. I love that question, and I think it is one of the keys that the Broncos need to go for, because you cannot control the pace of the round against a team that's playing as good as Johnson and Wales every single round. There will be times when they have the right guns, they come out swinging, and you're just not prepared for it. So in those situations, it's really important that the Broncos are able to use their utility to cut up sections of the map, put people in a little bit disadvantageous positions as they push into the Broncos. They get easy kills from people that are a little bit out of position early on, and translate that into map control later on in the round. That's going to be super important for, as you said, mitigating the threat and keeping that aggression from the side of Johnson and Wales under control.
Ascent will be the second map on the docket, and this is one that we have seen, if not mixed success, slightly positive success for our Boise State rosters. And we do see a little bit of a switch up. Bandito now going over to the Reyna. And no Cypher being considered here from the side of the Broncos. And maybe not like a very firm criticism, but one from my perspective, a great way to mitigate a team's momentum or maybe even aggression is to put a giant wall in front of them, because they have to deal with that first.
Absolutely. Having a Sage on your team can absolutely just throw, and then those slow fields, right? You put up a wall, they shoot their way through the wall, then you throw a slow field through the wall hole. They're never going to get through there. It just halts all aggression they have in their minds instantly, and they're forced to kind of rethink their battle strategy.
And beyond that, I mean, if you put it on someone who's comfortable getting consistent frags and get themselves on the scoreboard, you then also have a way to kind of give yourself a safety net in the event that you lose a player early in the round, as we've seen so far in that last map. There's a very large possibility of happening.
So Ascent does tend to lend itself to slightly more defensive plays. It can feel very prohibitive and dangerous to rotate around the opponent's side of the map on this map. So
is that a 5-man catwalk right there?
It is a 5-man or 4-man stack towards A. They do have one player playing near the garage. He's going to throw out a tripwire, that's their Cypher, and then he's going to rotate through mid. But if he's not careful, he's going to get himself seen by the mid player for Boise State Lycan, and he does. Swindle goes down, taken down by the Ghost in the early round. Your hat's going to go down in trade on the A site, though, so the spike control and site control is given to Johnson away.
Take flight.
Comes that Owl drone, making sure that they're not going to push without as much information as they can get. Though someone's pretty much under heaven right now, but not too sure of where that Jet is. And pretty perched up there on top of that. Mandark going to continue to hold that high angle. That's not something you often consider to be accessible, but that's why you play Jet, to get to those cheeky angles that aren't so easily accessible. Shots are going to be around, but here comes the final sweep. Just a couple clicks on the remaining health bars on the side of the Broncos versus this Johnson & Wales team will remain, and now it's just 1 versus 1. The spike is going to be ticking down, but it's going to be a nice Silva v Silva, and Dreammaker are going to try and prove again that they're the more successful one, but this time they're going to consider, and they do. They commit to the defuse, knowing it's not going to be pushable. The last few seconds will be huge, and they actually try to dodge away from the bullets, but he does actually end up getting it. He will get taken out at the last second, and I think it's just because he was able to move his head around so frequently.
That was beautiful. As we said in that last game, there was that round when Dreammaker just kept on pump faking, and it didn't end up working out. He, used up all of his time trying to get somebody to push into him. This is the absolute correct response. He's like, all right, if you want to be slow, checking out the spike after you hear the defuse beep, I'll just hold the thing. I'll stick it.
It's not it was all intended. He pump faked so much in that previous map to say, I do this every time. Get in the head of your enemy.
Oh, yeah, the Galaxy Brain play.
They assumed he was going to pump fake more. He just went for the full commit and get the first round win. And as you had mentioned last map, this is such a huge boon to the firepowers. We see 2 members of Johnson & Wales immediately get taken out because they have a higher tier of weaponry available. They're going to be able to continue success. It does, unfortunately, not the case, as Mandark will continue to get another frag, trying to represent their top of the scoreboard there on their side.
He will get a gun upgrade as well. That is the dangerous thing about buying significantly more powerful guns than your opponents, is that they're able to get gun upgrades from any kills that they get. So more than likely, the Jet on the side of Johnson & Wales does have a Spectre in his hands now, so Boise State going to have to be just a little bit more careful. He is on very low health. Actually, a couple players for Johnson & Wales at death's door, and they are locked down in mid. Broncos have great control of the map right now.
I was questioning whether or not we see a Dreammaker Ares second round, and we do, which is such a sight to see because, yes, it's just a little baby Odin. I'm surprised they're at this point of the map because that wall right in front of Lycan is going to be that main point, and I'm going to be sure that that's going to be Dreammaker's best friend.
30 seconds left.
1 versus 3. Yes, it's possible that Lycan can go down here. Does only have 54 HP. Going to get found out pretty shortly.
Swarm grenade out.
Here comes that swarm grenade, trying to get as much time as they can. They actually get a pickup, and that's such an amazing trade. Gets the 2-piece, almost gets the 3, but now it's 3 versus 1, and it's a pretty tall order for the side of Johnson & Wales. Now they are the one being pushed in the backseat. A second round deficit for them. Yes, they can be econing, but it's going to be pretty tough from this point forward. They do actually go for a full buy, so that toughness gets softened up a little bit, and now I do believe both teams are playing on pretty much an even playing field.
Yeah, they tend to call this third round the bonus round because more often than not, the team that wins the first 2 rounds just kind of keeps the guns that they had previously. They're not bad guns. You don't have enough money that you really want to spend them on upgrading right now, so most of the Broncos you'll see with those Spectre SMGs. But because Johnson and Wales have that 2-round loss streak that's going to give them so much cash, they have
Look at all 4 members with that Lear.
All comes out with that Lear. No aggression at all coming from the side of Johnson and Wales, and all the aggression coming from the side of the Broncos. They come out strong and get 3 kills in that A main site. And now the Broncos know exactly where the remaining 2 players are as well. They've got all the information in the world to just pinch in on this Johnson and Wales team. This 3rd round, I fully expect to go to them as well, barring any heroics from
I
Johnson
do
and
believe
Wales.
this is your hat, looking for a rotation from attacker spawn. Holding mid right now. Not going to be able to push forward just yet because they want to make sure that the commitment comes out from Johnson and Wales. But using the blades, using both hot hands there, and possibly a curveball or 2 here in that access point, completely halts and freezes in motion Johnson and Wales' attempt to play forward. They are able to get the ultimate orb, and it does look like they have an ultimate here on point, but unfortunately, the Johnson and Wales Omen does not have the spike for a cheeky contest and then teleport to the other side of the map play.
Yeah, and I love the play right there from the side of Lycan. He places his turret in mid, although he will recall it right now.
30
But the
seconds
turret
left.
placed in mid does give him complete knowledge if anybody tries to rotate through mid. So unless they see something come from that turret, Boise State can play really comfortable in the knowledge that Johnson and Wales are still in that A-long site, especially as they see the hot hands come out
Spike
and
down A.
the player goes down in the middle of that
10
smoke.
seconds
They
left.
know that there's not much time remaining, and the chances of the Obi for the side of Johnson and Wales getting in and getting that spike planted are almost nil. He's not even going to try, just play for the save and hope to get his gun out.
That's the best skin. So the best skin line in the game, I think. Gonna be able to get 1 exit. Gonna go for a 3-piece exit as well. Obi do lose the round, but forcing Boise State to buy. They probably were going to exchange their guns for maybe things of higher caliber, but a fantastic 3-piece. What a great call for them to even hold this angle anyway.
Yeah, you take away that option. The Spectre can be so powerful in the right hands. We saw a couple rounds ago how the fact that it's just a little bit inaccurate with its spread was actually able to give 2 quick, easy kills to low-health players for Lycan when he was playing the long angle on that B-long area there.
If he had missed 1 bullet, he was on the full reload there at that point and was not going to win a 3v1 if forced to use the reload middle combat. Great call for them to secure that with the full clip that they had available. So kudos to Obi, gets himself the ultimate, and now they can start considering maybe continuing to push this A site while then feigning to go B with that ultimate.
Yeah, then now that Boise State don't have the option to stick with those powerful Spectres from previous rounds, they are going to have to upgrade in a full buy. But it doesn't seem to be bothering them too much. Bandito gets 2 long-range kills and uses the Devour to get himself back up to health, even a little bit of overhill, as Lycan picks up the final one onto Swindle, leaving just Obi for the side of Johnson and Wales. He's all on his lonesome, hanging out in this shadow. But he's going to get spotted by Bandito and taken down with 1 more headshot. Bandito picks up 3 in that round.
Yeah, a 3-piece here for Bandito, and again, we talked about during the transition to this map what agents may be more powerful for the side of the Broncos, and as it appears to be, Bandito switching over to the Reyna has been to great success, and now they're the ones in control so far, 4-0 in the second map.
Looks like a completely different team, the Broncos, on this side. They are on the defensive, but Johnson and Wales just don't seem to have the same aggression and teeth that they do from the previous rounds.
Looks like we get into another pause here. Why is it that the switch to Reyna has been so successful for them, for those at home that don't,
I think
don't
the
play this
Reyna
as often as you and I do at such a high-ranked level?
I don't know if I'd call myself high-ranking, but I think the Reyna pick is something that Boise State generally favors on this map because they tend to play it more often than not. And I think that comfort pick lends itself to the usage of that blind, the leer that Reyna has in order to just halt aggression. Even on the defensive side, you can see there were moments when Johnson and Wales were go. They were all go to enter site, and the blind is thrown out, and suddenly it's like a screeching halt to that train. They just stop because you don't want to push into that. You're completely nearsighted.
And that's kind of the criticism versus using these smokes, which obscure your vision just as much as your enemies. That leer just only affects the enemies, and that's such a powerful tool for them to say, maybe we should get somewhere. Right before the doors close, they actually get the 1-piece, but right behind you is Danger. Uses the running back to gain the information that someone's there, and the full commitment to this A site will then put a huge boon of success on the side of Johnson & Wales. They're going to go for the plant. A nice corner peek will get a headshot, and Mandark will not relinquish his corner. Wow. With commanding fashion, the full 5-man commit from the side of Johnson & Wales will result in their first round win in the map.
And an ace for Mandark. Nothing to be sneezed at there. Boise State did have a really great position as they tried to hold those angles, but a couple unlucky timings. You know, unfortunately, Legit Soldier goes for a drop, so he's in the air right when the peak of the swing comes through from Mandark, and that's never going to be an accurate shot when you're in the middle of the air like that. So a couple unfortunate timings and some great plays from Mandark does give Johnson & Wales their first round win. Boise State still with plenty of money to spare, but you don't want to start losing too many of those rounds in a row. So they send the recon dart through garage. They're going to see that there's nobody there. That combined with the fact that Johnson & Wales has hit A in almost every round previous give them a pretty good idea where this hit's coming from. And they react beautifully. They're going to get 4 kills before anybody from Boise State drops. Bandito picks up the final one, and that is a quick 6th round for Boise State.
Have I mentioned how Boise State rosters like to adapt and overcome? If this isn't the definition of that in matter of play, going so weakly against this in the last round, just one round previous to this, make quick adaptations within the buy phase and completely snuff out this opportunity for working again for Johnson & Wales.
And I wonder if it will be. That's very interesting. Such a commanding loss from the side of Johnson & Wales will force them to rethink their strategy. They will not be full stacking A long once again. They're going to try for a bit of a mid and garage play. Sending out a smoke immediately, going to keep anybody from peeking a very long angle down mid, but Bandito is holding market. And if he chooses to rotate just a little bit to his left, he will see that there is somebody playing that immediate left, that immediate mid angle. He may be able to find a kill or two in mid. Hunter's Fury coming out. Dreammaker actually going to get taken down with a wallbang headshot from Fate, so that not going to get them anything. Poor, unfortunate use of the ultimate there, but Soldier will see that there's players coming through. He'll be forced to back up. He'll send the hot hands through to guarantee that nobody can come after him. But the hot hands of their own, combined with a shock dart from King, will get the answering kill. Boise State down 4-2. They're in a tough spot now.
You're not going to be challenged here up in the window. They don't just know it yet. They're going to get shot through the smoke. And it's just going to be one member versus the world. Bandito doing what they can to maybe hold this off. They do have Empress on board, but I don't know if it's something you commit to in such a member's disadvantage. 95 health remaining. Going to be taken out swiftly in their own near spawn, and not really giving them much thought to how many members of course, Johnson & Wales were just swarming around that mid side of the map. And once they committed to going through going closer to that window, it gave them such a huge opportunity after getting kill after kill to just walk in without much opposition.
Yeah, it was really tough for the Broncos there. They lost a couple early, and as we've seen, when the tempo doesn't go their way in an early round, they tend to suffer a little bit because they get pinched. They just don't take quite the right fights. It's almost a mental thing. It's just when they don't have all of their players up, it can sometimes get in their heads when they're at a man disadvantage like that.
Look at the ultimates for both teams, 3 and 3. And you got to give a little bit of credit to these members. I think this is going to be the 3rd or 4th ultimate just from this jet here from the side of Johnson & Wales. And we'll have to see if they continue to use it to such a great extent. We do look at the map, though, and we see both teams kind of swarming around this mid side, taking maybe catwalk to go through towards the window. Might not be what they full commit to. Here comes Delir to stop a lot of that possession forward. No shots will get the elimination just yet, but a fancy reload. And maybe considering backing off here. 15 bullets left in that chamber before they do actually are forced to reload. Your hat will pick up one on the backside. Going to give an opening for the Broncos to stampede forward. And they're keeping this entire roster of Johnson & Wales just hovering around the middle of the map, not really making much of a decision. And I think that that's the intention, right? They don't want to make a hasty or full commitment decision until they have an advantage to expose. Looks like they are starting to wink towards the A side of the map. A garden will be soon the point of contention, and unfortunately for these plants, they will be watered with bullets and maybe fire here shortly. Going through the door, it's going to be shot, but a nice wall bang and headshot from Dreammaker will even things up. Here comes the spike being planted down. The shock dart will be given. No damage will be used. The Lira will be used on the backside, and shots will be exchanged everywhere. Another shock dart will be given out, and that will be a huge enough amount of damage. Bandito capitalizing on that, putting the period in this, and detainment will be given out. Not really much to do with this besides anything, and I think they actually ended up splitting that, giving themselves another ultimate for use. Broncos picking themselves up another one. Almost struggled there initially, but I think because they had corralled Johnson and Wales for so long in the middle of the map, it was difficult for them to make an opportunity, or for them to open up a plan for them to work with, because there was no option, there were no advantages given over. Boise State really reserving themselves to say, you know, if they're not going to go challenge a point for plants, there's really nothing that we need to do. We're winning if they don't do anything.
Yeah, Boise State's game plan is to let Johnson and Wales come to them, and it's playing out perfectly because Johnson and Wales' game plan, their entire speed of play has flipped completely from the last map. They seem terrified and push into maps and push into each choke point extremely slowly. Whoa,
what?
Through the smoke!
You're kidding.
Gets 2 through the smoke, does Bandito, and now Johnson and Wales, like we said, they're terrified. They've got one on site all by his lonesome, and another one is stuck in garage. He's not even actually through. He's back around behind garage. Bandito gets another kill of his own, and now it's a 4 versus 1 manhunt for the poor Cypher on the side of Johnson and Wales. He's just got to try and hide and hopefully save his gun, because nothing is going to come from this round for him, even though he has the spike.
Swindle
I cannot
does get
see
an
him
exit.
getting this.
It's going to be a reset here for Broncos, at least your hat specifically. Swindle with his own hat, getting himself closer to that neural theft, but pushing yourself up against the Boise State roster that seems to be very securely holding every point of entry could be pretty dangerous. The door will close. Shots will be given out. Swindle actually getting a headshot, and he does have the spike. He's going to look for a plant opportunity here.
He will get the plant down. That is great play from him in order to rotate back to the site that he had previously left, to probably the last place they'd expect him to be. They are now going to be forced to retake, but they have a shock dart, or sorry, excuse me, a recon dart, which is going to give them a little bit of information about where he is not. It may not reveal them, but it will tell them where he's not, and that sometimes can be all the information you need. Will dodge the bullet, the dart there, trying to reveal his location. Kill comes in. Bigger Broncos going to pick up their 7th round, but well played there. I mean, at one point that was a 4 versus 1 for the side of Johnson and Wales, and that Cypher almost was able to bring it back all on his lonesome.
Swindle getting just Soldier down to 30 HP was a close, kind of scary situation for the Broncos, but with hot hands as well as Blaze being available, they could have healed themselves back up as long as they didn't full commit. And it's tough, right? A lot of the time when it comes to recontesting point B here, you assume they're in the back just like Swindle was, but it's not always a guarantee. So I think it's right to go ahead and be a little, cautious, go in with a little bit of preservation, and then commit to going for the kill, even though you got yourself down to 30 HP.
Yeah, playing the boathouse back there does really lend itself well to holding things for long periods of time, but if you're all alone, it just feels like you're a sitting duck just waiting to get killed back in there. So definitely a two-edged sword if you choose to play the boathouse back in there. Your hat has smoked off both the long angle and the short one, daring anybody to push through that smoke. Johnson and Wales will not be so foolish. They've been burned on this site before. They're going to play it slow once again, peeking out just a little bit. Not sure if they caught the vision of Dreammaker peeking back behind this box or not, but they are all playing very long angles as your hat picks up one with a headshot. The rest of them are still waiting outside this long sight line here, and they're eventually going to push in. Now that 1 minute has hit, they're starting their execute. Going to push in through, getting one. Swindle gets one onto your hat. Shock Dart going to come out, not going to find anything, just a little bit of damage as Dreammaker going to get another kill of his own. Sends in another Shock Dart, but won't get a kill with that one. Boise State, only 2 players remaining, but a couple of the players for Johnson and Wales are extremely hurt as the attempted wallbang from Bandito almost going to find somebody underneath heaven there.
So close. Again, for those at home, these players can't see these silhouettes, so we have a distinct observer advantage. Shock Dart will be given, and Recon will be given out as well, so all information will be Johnson and Wales to do with as they please. 1 point of contention here, and then that is the sole survivor of Lycan versus 3 members of this roster. They do know they're somewhere. Here comes that curveball. Not going to blind for too much longer. Going to go and possess themselves a position. It's going to be 1 versus 2. Are they able to do that? They are not actually able to get this. A headshot will be met here as Fate holding that underside of heaven, and that is going to give a 4th round over to Johnson and Wales.
Very tough there for Lycan. Almost had the makings of a comeback there. He got around behind the players of Johnson and Wales and dodged the blind, so they didn't actually know where he was. Unfortunately, in killing one, he revealed himself slightly and then just wasn't able to get the rest of the lineups to get the 1v1s in order to finish that round off, but nearly had the makings of a comeback there for Lycan. That clutch, very possible for him given the right circumstances and just a little more time to work there. Your hat has his ult that's from the shadows and has used it a lot fewer than I thought he would. You know,
Right.
even just as an information gathering tool, it can be really useful to just poke your head in, see where people are playing, and then self-cancel. You know you don't want to stay there. You just want to know where everyone else is. I feel like he could have, you know, built up a second or possibly third ultimate, you know, by the time in the time he spent waiting for the opportunity to use this first one.
A lot of these hot hands, as well as this blaze, not really being able, or not being used opportunistically to, in this downtime of combat for Soldier, to heal themselves back up to 100 HP. I mean,
Right here.
yes, you got knocked down to 42, which may not seem like a lot, but that is only a few shots from pretty much any gun to get yourself down to 0. Nice shots and a nice flank from Dreammaker right before he gets spotted by that recon, and a good call from them. They do now have their favorite gun in the game, I would
That's
assume.
the Odin power.
This is the power of the Odin. It is a powerhouse of damage and just damage per second as well. And that's why we love seeing it on Dreammaker, because they somehow make the dreams happen. Smoke going to come out. Going to see if they maybe have an opportunity to push forward, but you unfortunately can bait out a normal clip of any other gun, but the Odin is such a stacked powerhouse that you're going to be walking into. Oh my goodness, the tailwind with the updraft combination will be able to get the flank over the wall, and that was such a fantastic idea while the rest of your teammates were pushing forward, but
10
unfortunately, you ended up putting yourself in a corner, and now it is just up to fate. No spike available right now, but they're looking at making an attempt here on the side of, nope, not really going to give anything out, actually. It's time to run out. Nice exit elimination for them, and fate will look for another one, but not able to get one. So it is 8-3, and kind of on the other side of the coin compared to the last map. Boise State with a commanding round lead going right into the swap.
You're actually in the exact opposite situation. The final round of the half, last map, Boise State was the 3, Johnson & Wales with 8. This round, scores are flipped, but the numbers remain the same. Interesting. If Johnson & Wales pick this one up, it will be a perfect match, because Boise State did pick up that last round in the first half of the first game. So interesting to see if this ends up being 9-3 or another 8-4 as we head into the half.
It almost looked like the Johnson & Wales squad was considering going B, but somehow the utility used was enough of an opposition. Can this be from the shadows that we're looking forward to? No. Just going to go with the paranoia, trying to mitigate as much opportunity of vision as possible. And the Broncos now have the opportunity to use all these ultimates in tandem, get themselves a huge boon of advantage if used correctly.
Yeah, the Hunter's Fury can be really useful for preventing a plant in the event that they want to put that down. Lycan will go down early to a headshot from Mandark. Your Hat is now holding a site all on his lonesome, and that does seem to be the site that Johnson & Wales is choosing to hit. They'll drive back Legit Soldier with some beautiful usage as well. But there we go, just what I was talking about.
Oh my
That Hunter's
goodness.
Fury comes in,
One enemy
and it will
remaining.
drive them out of their ideal positions, put them in uncomfortable spots, and then all of them are mowed down by the combined forces of Dreammaker and Legit Soldier. Or, excuse me, not Dreammaker, Your Hat and
Your
Legit
Hat,
Soldier,
yep.
leaving just the Jet, who will get taken down by Soldier through the wall. And 9-3 is our scoreline as the Broncos head into the second half.
You
Looking
know,
so
it's,
commanding on the scent.
it's interesting. Both entry points to A seem to be that of a barrel, and in this situation, it looked like Dreammaker was ready to start fishing.
This goes here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can see right there, he activates his ult and puts everybody in uncomfortable positions. They'd like to rush up and plant. They'd like to take post-plant positions immediately and force Boise State to retake into them. But the Hunter's Fury completely keeps them from playing where they'd like to play. And then Boise State just swings and finds all the angles they're looking for in order to pick up the W.
It's going to be a nice trap wire. It's going to be
This is
put in a very interesting place, probably soon after this camera, but great camera placement. It's always interesting when it comes to this point how intended some of the mechanics are for characters like Sova, like Cypher, to put their utility in almost undetectable places, but we'll have to see if that ends up being the case. Does not look like any of the Bronco members want to consider pushing through that point just yet, and unfortunately it does look like Swindle gets a free pickup on Lycan pushing forward. More members will be in the backside, and a nice headshot, no, not needed here for Your Hat. Pushing on, there's only one remaining member, and here comes that curveball. The blind will not be enough for them to be deterred, and just like that, the Broncos now put themselves in commanding force, forcing now the retake of this Johnson & Wales squad, and they know exactly where these two members are. Here comes the hot hands. Bandito can't get themselves out. They actually walk out with 5 HP and pick up one and an overheal. A fantastic play with that headshot. forcing and making sure that the Johnsons, oh my goodness, this guy can't be stopped. Doesn't matter how low his health is. He finally gets put down. The headshot will be here over from Obi, and we've seen how well this one individual player can recontest even at a man disadvantage. So there's no way that we can discount or count out this Johnson and Will squad just yet.
Showcasing the power of Reyna there. Ooh, Obi gets taken down. Not with very tall order for him to find much in a 1v3 with the spike already down anyway, but just the power of Reyna right there, especially, interestingly, her most recent changes. He doesn't get the final blow there, but he does get the ult orb because of the recent changes to Reyna, allows him to get the overheal he needed to get himself back up from 5 health. You're pretty much useless at 5 health, but 70 health is a very different story.
And that's that was a risky situation. Not a lot of people would be able to, in clear mind, to make that decision. But with confidence in the rest of the roster saying, hey, I have 5 HP, my feet are on fire, they're a little too toasty for me, I need to move. Someone back me up so I can get that healing. And it's just, you know, with practice and time played with the team, that's the kind of stuff you could expect from any team that has practice together.
Absolutely. We're seeing our second round 2 Odin here for Dreammaker, or sorry, excuse me, round 2 Ares here for Dreammaker, that LMG being one of his favorites, and he has pushed up quite a long ways. Actually, interestingly, Boise State have pushed up both of the longer sight lines, but have not declared one that they'd really like to hit just yet. Kind of trying to feel out, use some utility, see what they can get. So far, not really any information at all, but Lycan gets a kill onto Swindle, and that might be the go button for them there. They might know what they need to know in order to execute on a site. Now, interestingly, although they did pick up a kill on B site, that is the most heavily guarded site for the site of Johnson and Wales. So they may opt to push through Catwalk. They'll give it a try, but your hat goes down to Obi and that Bucky. So now Boise State kind of reset, back at a little bit of a standstill. Not sure what site they'd like to hit just yet because they don't have a ton of information about who's playing where.
Oh, that's such a rough call. Double Bucky here from the side of Johnson and Wells will give them 2 eliminations, even it up 3 versus 3. And they do seem to be putting a lot of control and opposition here on the side of A, but much to their chagrin, it does look like the Boise State squad says, I think that maybe we'll not go there, and we'll just plant here instead.
And beautiful play because an over-rotation from the side of Johnson and Wales, they don't leave anybody anchoring the B site, and that's exactly where Boise State choose to go. Lycan is fully healthy. Phoenix is a little bit worse for wear. He could use that blaze wall to heal himself up just a little bit.
Does look like that ended up happening. Does look like the heal was given out over to, of course, Soldier trying to get themselves at a comparable health level. It's going to be 2 versus 3 with the recontest. And this is where I think Boise State considers saying they probably will just look backside and go for the shots here, not knowing that Lycan's in the wings, and a safe contest will be stuffed. As the members of Johnson and Wales were forced into both one side. I think maybe instead, if they both challenged the same side, they maybe had a better opportunity of getting at least 1 or 2 trades there.
I think it was just a beautiful play from the side of Boise State.
Oh, absolutely.
They got just a little bit of information about where most of the team from Johnson and Wales is playing. That's what they tried so hard to do all round. They were just searching for any amount of information they could get. And then they do lose a player in Catwalk, but after they see the other they see there's 2 players playing A, you can make a pretty safe guess that B is the lesser defended site, and unfortunately for Johnson and Wales, it's not defended at all, so Boise State get a free plant there. This time, they have no such designs about gathering information first. They have full stacked A site, which is a single player lurking in mid. They're going to send in that recon arrow, possibly to try and peek anybody out. Actually, thinking better of it, they're going to back up just a little bit, maybe reconsidering their choice to full send to A.
And this is kind of what we've seen in terms of adaptation for this Bronco squad over time. Going to get met with the Judge now instead of the Bucky. We'll be trading 1 for 2. Bronco members will push forward, trying to get a nice cheeky angle as possible. Going to get the pickup. Lycan sacrificing a bit of their health and a lot of their armor for this play, but putting the alarm up there will give them a huge boon of protection from that heaven side. Don't think that they're doing one just yet. The alarm will be triggered, and here comes the smoke as well. A lot of shock darts and recon drones will be used. No owl drone just yet, but it's now a point of huge contention. The wall being put down. The spike is in the hands of the Bronco squad. No, it does seem that it's not. picked up yet.
Last player standing.
Yeah, they did lose the spike a lot earlier when a player for the Broncos went down. Ooh! With the
Bulldog.
alt-fire burst kill from Dreammaker. It is a 1v1, and the player for the side of Johnson & Wales is extremely low on health. He'll switch out to a Phantom, a little bit better at longer range, and better if you're aiming down the sights. He's going to go ahead and plant in a very safe location. Out of shock darts, unfortunately, is the silver for the side of Johnson & Wales, so he's going to be forced to push in here if he wants to do any damage. Dreammaker also has the Hunter's Fury, so he is more than welcome to retreat from sight and use that Hunter's Fury to prevent the defuse from range if he should so choose.
I think this is a great call. Oh, this is so questionable whether or not he knows that he's there. I think the confidence in which him pushing forward and planting the spike was given because the players said, we tagged Soba. He's got to be one. And he is. He actually lands just the one bullet he needs to. Not getting much of a trade, picking up the guns for his teammates to give them on over. And great call, reservation, patience, all pay out for Boise State here.
Match point for the Broncos, as you hear from the announcer
Look at
there.
this. It's pretty close to the last map standings.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a complete 180 for the side of the Broncos here. They look like they swapped sides. You know, they just got up and switched computers, and the Johnson & Wales team is playing on the Boise State computers at this point because almost every single thing that I felt like the Broncos were lacking in the first map seems to be their strengths and what Johnson & Wales seem to be lacking in the second map. You can see the ease with which they rotate and change sites, with which they're trying to perform misdirects, gather information, and not choose a site right away. And it's just paying dividends for the Broncos in such a huge way. Although, as I say that, Swindle picks up 2 headshots.
Going for a possible third. No reload here, and the nice pickup here from your hat. He'll get his own 2-piece as well. Gonna go forward, and here comes that teleport from the shadows. Could be huge. Putting himself on the backside of this point with the spike, and this is the exact play that we talked about. This is only possible with Omen, possibly maybe with Euro, but we are not going to see him anytime soon. 28 HP. Here comes the paranoia, and the recontest could be huge. Here comes the Hunter's Fury from one side of things, but they are able to match with their own. Legit Soldier going to pick up one side with the headshot wall bang, and this recontest just got real dicey from Johnson & Wales. Hot hands will be given out. Your hat going to try and get themselves in the smoke. The obscurity could be huge, 30 HP, but it doesn't matter when you got the fantastic angle. That's a 4-piece. Someone took the ace away, but Boise State making those adjustments, getting those agent changes, and the complete mental reset for them give them the second map with commanding fashion.
The choice to play inside of that smoke and wait for it to fade away is filthy because he knows that that angle is likely only going to be visible to him. The chances that the player from the side of Johnson & Wales turns around and peeks that very shallow angle in the middle of the smoke are so slim. Exactly. Just a beautiful, beautiful play from the side of your hat there. Can't talk enough about how much I love that choice to play inside the smoke there. Hey, everybody out there, Boise State Esports is always looking for talented players, production, and broadcast talent. Top talent, along with good grades and eligibility, can earn scholarships as well. Sign up today by visiting boisestate.edu/esports for more information. As worn out as I was after the first game, I was emotionally worn out after the first game. Now I'm emotionally hyped after this game. I'm on a roller coaster.
You are on a roller coaster. Now, you had mentioned before that map ended what the Broncos had done to kind of make up for what they were missing, right? I have one large criticism still for them for what they're missing in across the entire board. No shotguns purchased? Come on, guys.
I know. It was. Weren't you happy, though? I mean, that was a beautiful play from Obi. He was able to take that judge and sit in the smoke on a short, that play, that very short angle, and was definitely able to get some value from that judge. He got 3 quick kills in that penultimate round there.
And this is such a unique opportunity because, we get to move to a map 3, not something we generally see very often for this Broncos squad. And I'm kind of excited to see what map we're going to because this doesn't happen too often.
We're going to be very excited to see how this final map plays. This one, as we said before, is for all the marbles, everybody, so don't go anywhere because the Broncos' win-loss fate still hangs in the balance as we come back with map 3.
NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Legendary parts for legendary wins.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena for our final map in this best-of-3 match for the NECC Collegiate Valorant regular season. This is Boise State versus Johnson and Wales. Both teams are 3-1. Both teams have a map in this series, and it all comes down to this one final map for us to launch into to find out who walks away with the W this week.
And both teams kind of really showing up here as to why they're both at the 3-1 score line so far in this tournament. And, you know, it's kind of anyone's game, because with the way that both maps kind of played out, we can see how well both of these teams perform when they both have a lead and then just continue to hold it.
Yeah, I feel like both teams are very momentum-based in a lot of different ways. You can see in both different maps how when somebody gets started, it's tough to stop them, and on the flip side, when you start to drop a few rounds, it can be tough to come back for both of those teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, a large criticism is the fact that maybe this game isn't so momentum-based, but time and time again, we see that, truthfully, it is. It is a very momentum-based game, but it is possible, as we just saw from map 1 to map 2, for a team to completely reset their mental state, prove that they needed to make some maybe adjustments, either in their play style or even those agent changes, and completely flip the script.
One more reminder for everybody of our rules tonight before we get into our third map. This is the Valorant NECC League, 9-week series of more than 30 teams playing in best-of-3 sets, just like the one we're playing right now. These maps are picked ahead of time each week. The home team will pick their opening side, either attacker or defender, for the first and third maps. The away team will pick their opening side for the second game. The Broncos are in the Champions Division, but we also have Challengers and Emergents. And truth be told, anybody who comes out with a big win can come from any one of these divisions, because as you can see from this one, Boise State at the top of the Champions Division and Johnson and Wales in the Emergence Division, but this one is a slugfest, Baratel. They're both coming out hot for this third map.
Yeah, it's almost as if all of them are playing Phoenix, but unfortunately that's not the case. We would hear, of course, the run it back on several occasions if that was truthfully what's happening.
This is your Boise State team playing tonight. We have Bandito is Ethan Cobb, Dreammaker, Luke Edwards, Solja, Jack Wilcox, Lycan, Blake Ramsey, and your hat, Seth Banta. And if he ever plays a character without a hat,
He's disqualified.
disqualified. We just resign. We're just done playing.
I feel like with that kind of roster kind of acknowledgement, we need to have some of the boom, boom, clap, boom, boom, clap. Because I was tempted to do it, but I got big, meaty claws. So if I did that, you guys, all your ears would be shattered. These paws right here, they can clap with the best of them.
We need more people. The arena's kind of empty here. It's, it's still waiting for that pandemic to wind down. We can get some people back in the arena. We can have a crowd here again, trying to get people excited. It's going to be great.
I long for the day.
It's going to be awesome.
Such an invigorating kind of thing, too. And, with everyone being here, we do, of course, appreciate you guys being in chat as well. So thanks for stopping by and supporting both teams and us here at the desk as well.
Yeah, just a reminder to come hang out with us in Twitch chat when we stream here, because we are giving away Respawn. You can see at the bottom of your screen.
I'm
You're not
casting.
in Twitch chat right now to get your free Respawn?
I can't. I'm casting. I would love to be in chat right now because Respawn is delicious.
Well, this is Boise State versus Johnson and Wales in Valorant. We're loading up now, getting ready for this map. But before we do, time for final thoughts and predictions before we see how this is going to go down, Baratel.
Normally, I like to be comfortable and confident saying things with certainty. I'm too close to the desk to do so, for one, and two, it's really anyone's game because, the Broncos were able to make such a huge amount of adjustment between the first and second map, and we saw how well things go for Johnson and Wales when they get themselves ahead. So we'll just have to see.
I think the big question is, are Johnson and Wales able to perform that same kind of mental reset coming off of such a hard loss in the second round? Are they going to be okay in this third one, or are they going to be a little bit tilted that they, threw away their lead that they were having?
Oh my
there?
goodness! We had seen between map 1 and map 2, the Broncos kind of switching things up, giving Bandito the Reyna. But now we see 3 new, fresh faces for the Broncos squad in the Cypher, the Rays, and the Sage. So, Sage is such a huge boon to this map in particular. And I'm surprised we're not seeing it on Johnson and Wells because walling off mid, getting themselves away from possibly ropes is such a huge thing. And maybe even walling off ramps here on the A side of things could be the play. It's just such a nice thing to see, not only one adaptation, but them completely almost switching out their entire roster. Wait, yeah, and keeping only really one mainstay, and it's your hat with this hood. He's got a hat on, so we're good. We're all good.
Omen counts.
Wait a second.
That hood counts as a hat.
There are so many characters with hats.
There are a lot of characters
Killjoy
with hats.
has one. Raze has one.
Yeah.
Does the ponytail holder for Sage count as a hat?
No, that's not a hat.
All right.
Not a hat.
Fair enough. A nice A rush here. They are going to go to ramps and go through that, trying to get themselves up to heaven and or under heaven, if you will. And 2 headshots here. Classic would be huge. Mandark, as well as Obi, continuing to show one of the top performers in terms of frags for their team. 97 HP from Mike and disappears in an instant. And it's going to be a tough call for them to contest, but they actually pick one up. 2 versus 2. They do still have the healing opportunity from the Sage, and a great pick for them. It's going to be 45 seconds away, though. And unfortunately, there's not enough time for them to do so and wait on that.
They actually did just use the heal. It just went through onto Lycan. So he comes from a very low 5 HP up to a healthy, much higher health level. Ooh! But then goes right back down as he gets in a fight. Oh, just not enough health in order to survive those ghost shots from Obi. But you can see already in that first round the versatility and the usefulness that the Sage can bring to this lineup. You get a player low, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to play defensive for the rest of the map or the rest of the round, because she can heal them back up. Yeah. She also has that revive. It doesn't come up all that often because it's an ultimate, but when it does, you can give yourself a fighting chance in a round where you shouldn't really have one by bringing players back to life that have already gone down. So
that's what I was about to mention as well. Is imagine that situation later in the map, and you actually have that res available, turning the 2v2 with the Dire into a 3v2. Nice shots here for Mandark, going to get the advantage by getting that boom of the first win. And we call that again. This is kind of almost a giveaway round for whoever wins the first one. Ropes will be contested. And they are going to push themselves forward. The M2s are not going to be able to land. And now Fate getting themselves another pickup here on the side of the Brimstone. Shots everywhere, going to be found out, and A will be the home of success so far for Johnson and Wales in this map.
Dreammaker's also very stuck back here. He could have tried to push in, but the turret would have revealed him if it didn't already. Not sure if that happened off screen, but either way, I mean, what are you going to do with a Bucky against all 5 players of Johnson and Wales on their own? But as we also like to say, yeah, round 2 is a bit of a giveaway for the...
I can't be upset at all.
Yeah, right? He bought a shotgun. As we also like to say, though, round 2 is a bit of a giveaway for the winners of round 1. It can be turned around, but it is also very difficult. That also said, Johnson and Wales are most likely going to be holding most of the guns they had last round because they don't have enough to replace them comfortably yet. Boise State have all the money they could want after 2 lost round bonuses, which means they have a full buy. They should be able to get plenty of utility and use out of these new guns of theirs.
It's just going to be Lycan versus the world. He was able to get that crucial surveillance down, knowing that maybe there's a lot more members than just one here on the side of this B point. Here comes that Lear, going to get themselves to safety, even though they were blinded through the wall. Mad Dark will pick up a headshot. Here comes that other distortion here from that, and Shockwave will actually be used as well. 2 members of Boise State remained versus a full, almost full squad of the Johnson and Wales team, and as they continue to push towards B, it's going to be a tough call for them to try and recontest both Heaven as well as the backside towards defender spawn. Is just a little too close. Hallway will be considered, but they are going to go through this and build the stairs up to Heaven. And the cool thing about this jet smoke being used in this way is they can still be seen through their feet, which are still shootable targets. Unfortunately, not necessary for Obe as he picks up the 2-piece by himself. Gets a little bit of assistance here from another member, but not necessary, as a third and Swift round go over to Johnson and Wales.
Yeah, Boise State not able to capitalize on that gun round that they were able to buy there, and they're right back to a save again. It's going to be pistols for them as they head into round 4, and now Johnson and Wales has plenty of money. If they want to upgrade their guns, they can do so, and they'll have money to spare. Just a note for our viewers as well, just something that Baratel touched on just there. When we talk about smokes, you might often hear us say things like that's a one-way smoke. A one-way smoke is just what he was talking about there, when you can see somebody's feet through a smoke, but if they're standing in the smoke or behind the smoke, they can't see anything because it's right at their eye level. So we call that one way because you can get information, but only from one direction.
Shots went out. Frenzy can give a little bit extra. Boone gets a 2-3 piece actually out of nowhere. Here comes that wall to block off this ramp's opportunity for the side of Johnson and Wales. Going to pick up a better and higher caliber gun in the Phantom. No skin, unfortunately. Going to get the help on themselves. Give themselves a nice reset, but unfortunately on the backside it does look like the Rays is suffering a little bit of casualty. But conversely, if you want to talk about it, Johnson and Wales, the one main holder of the spike right now in the Killjoy, is dangerously low to faltering as well. But in the meantime, with the reservation and patience for Boise State gives the opportunity for Johnson and Wales to slip right under their nose and continue to plant here on the A side. It's going to be a pretty tough recontest, but something that's completely possible depending on where they go from here. It looks like they're sitting on point, on site itself. Someone contesting maybe underneath that Heaven point of view. No one getting quite up there just yet, and no consideration for going down. They are actually on the tail end of that B. It's called Ramparts, I believe. Someone's going into Death Corner. Going to get shot here from the side, but on the backside, you had to turn around 360 degrees. No, unfortunately, going to get themselves in a great position. And King, with only 25 HP, closes another round out for Johnson and Wales.
Yeah, it's just a showcase right there of how important positioning is. Boise State with the health advantage. In fact, having the Sage to heal up the Rays and have both of them at near full health, where both players for Johnson and Wales are at death's door. But because Johnson and Wales players are set up in a crossfire at that doorway, and Boise State chose not to rotate anybody through Heaven, it's a very unfortunate choice because if they had, they would have instantly spotted out the player for Johnson and Wales playing Heaven there, and then that could have been a very different round. But because they chose not to, they go through the bottom, and the players for Johnson and Wales have a crossfire set up. You can't look in both directions at once, and that just leads to easy kills for the defenders.
Get themselves into a position, holding mid and getting themselves out of that detainment. They do not want to be caught with their pants down, and that's a great way to do so is by being detained. One elimination will give over. The huge amount of damage here and kind of hesitation that this Brimstone's causing the side of the Broncos is just becoming so crazy. Rolling Thunder can be something huge for them. Only one member remaining though, and he has a sliver of health, is able to be taken down and found out, and Broncos will actually get themselves into a advantageous point, get themselves a much needed win in this map.
Yeah, you can see the res coming in there from the stage as well. Just kind of putting that round just even more out of reach for Johnson and Wales, right? A 2v1 is doable. A 3v1 feels tough, especially on so little health for the Brimstone, the Breach playing the side of Johnson and Wales there.
And you got to consider maybe it's time for the ultimates to come out. We see Rolling Thunder, we see the knives come out, as well as from the shadows on the side of Johnson and Wales. But you know, also the Boise State roster has it from the shadows. They have the Neural Theft. They also have the Empress available, and a full 5-man push onto this E site could result disastrously, as they are met with both the Raze ulti, the kills, and the guns everywhere. Swindle picking up a plethora of eliminations, getting themselves padded those stats. Nice contest here, challenging still the ramparts, and of course the high ground. Heaven will be given an opportunity. Heals will be given to themselves as Soldier puts themselves into the back corner versus 5 members. This is going to be a pretty mighty contest here for the side of the Broncos.
Yeah, they use so many ultimates in order to take advantage of the site control there, and they do get it quite handedly. But it means that they're not going to have those ultimates for future round. Johnson and Wales having nothing online at this point except that from the shadows. The only ult they have remaining left. So it actually appears that Boise State are just going to save their guns. They don't fancy a 2 versus 5. They know that all of the ults were used. They'll let this round go.
They might get an exit here.
They'll use the eco swing to get themselves into a better round for future. He won't get it. Oh, they even lose the guns. That's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, off the back of Mandark having those blades, it's tough to hold yourself in. It's such an interesting position, because going down ropes is a great call if your intention is to then go up somewhere else. But putting yourself in that kind of pit just gave a free opportunity for the Johnson & Wales team to just, hey, they're probably in this pit, and just, you know, just spray fire down there. Lose a little bit of that econ that they've been trying to save up. And Lycan, with consideration for the judge, switches over to the Bucky. Great choice. The blind will come out here from that breach. It looks like they may go for a full contest here. Unable to get the shots as they just peer around the corner, but a trade 1-for-1 will give the Broncos a nice reprieve, not knowing that they went to a disadvantageous spot. 30 HP here on Urhat versus so many. He does get one pop shot off, and it does hit nothing. Unfortunately for them, they are pushing blind, and shots will be just cascading down the hallway through, of course, that garage area. Going up the ropes, going to be met with another Bucky, but shots again barely missed from the Broncos. So uncharacteristic of them to miss these shots, and with the power of the Bucky, when you land those, they are such a devastating blow to the health bar of who unfortunately crosses that crosshair. But if you miss, it's almost not worth picking up the Bucky at all.
Yeah, Bucky has such a long reload time for a shotgun that if you miss the first shot, as you could see right there, you're kind of dead.
I love the face on this little guy.
Look at him, he's shaking. He's so happy.
Cute. They make a skin line off of that. I might actually purchase a Valorant skin. Maybe. Probably not.
Sending in that slow field, and the blind comes out, but the tailwind going to take him right over the top of that. So a little bit of ramp control taken early here for Johnson and Wales. They'll also get a kill up in heaven, so they have full heaven control on this A side. Boise State on the outside looking in a little bit. Dreammaker is on bottom, that's true, but he can easily be sussed out by anybody pushing up there. Yep, there he goes. Urhat going to answer back with one of his own. But that puts the Broncos in a retake scenario. It's a 3v3, but the attacker killjoy has pushed everybody away from site, and the spike has gone down. So now the Broncos got to push in. They got to find what they're looking for. That neural theft will help. It will reveal that there is one player who is playing off-site, not even near where the other 2 players are playing. That will help him to feel a little more confident in pushing down the bottom of this site as Urhat. He's going to peek in just a little bit. They'll get one. He'll go trade it out. But Urhat will know that there's one player playing off-site and one player playing on-site. Gonna fake. Gonna get that swarm grenade to go off so that he can get himself in a better position for future. Fake once again. Running low on time. He'll get 1 kill. He'll get 2 kills.
Actually,
he gets what he needs, but I don't know if he has the time. It's gonna be very close. Nope.
Oh, gosh. That was such a great play to bait out both members, knowing that the one player off-site had to push in eventually, but they ended up getting too much time. Maybe the second pump fake was a little bit unnecessary, because at this point, there's no one moving in to contest. Going for 50% there almost guarantees that you have enough time to get the remainder of the defuse after getting the 2 for 0. But, you know, in that kind of situation, getting 2 for 0 is still impressive. Just a matter of timing there on the spike defuse.
Yeah, I often feel personally like when you're in that situation where your choices are pump fake and try and get the kill, but almost certainly run out of time, or just hold it, you should just stick it. Because worst case scenario, you die, right?
You die while at 50%, which is more than killing at 0%, as we can clearly see didn't work.
Exactly. So you always have that.
Oh my goodness!
Beautiful headshot from Bandito.
Sheriff's in town.
He's gonna pick that one up right around the corner, and Lycan gets one of his own with another Sheriff.
And the Bucky pops off for your head as well. That's a second Bucky as well for the Bronco squad. This is why you pick this gun. The short angles that are being contested by Johnson and Wells is met with a short and quick demise. The Bucky's so powerful, and that's why the Broncos and Bucky both start with B.
Broncos is a 4 versus 1. Obi does have a Phantom, a very fancy Phantom at that, but he's going to be hard-pressed to win a 4 versus 1. And yeah, it's not going to happen. Bandito picks up a Vandal he found on the ground, gets the headshot, and the Broncos get their second win of the map, and a thrifty at that. So they are back in the win column.
Yeah,
They've still got a long road to walk, though. I mean, let's not forget that a lot of these rounds have been very close. This is not the slaughter that the first map tended to be for the Broncos. But they are still down 5 rounds, and that's a tall mountain to climb.
A tall mountain, but Bucky could be the walking stick that they need to get themselves up. As we can clearly see, there's not going to be an option. Bucky's just kind of a little bit of a clutch, if you will. Some of that of a set of steps, a little step stool to get yourself in position for power. Blind will come out, and another 5-man commit here. They are sticking themselves to their guns, both metaphorically and, of course, physically. And the rotation here from the side of Dreammaker could be huge if the plan of action for Johnson and Wells continues to be stalled and they are not able to put themselves in a position to recontest. This could be huge for this position. The slowing orb will again deter any sort of movement forward. And now it's up to Johnson and Wells if they want to be stubborn and stick with that plan of action. It does not look like that, as they do kind of dismantle their plan, put themselves and start dispersing elsewhere. Shots here towards this market could be huge. A grenade will come out as well. Able to get the shots in the distraction. Headshot. And here's exactly that flank angle. Now Boise State can continue to push from both sides and get themselves maybe some exit eliminations, as again, Johnson and Wells is forced to retreat. Another shot and another kill. 2 members now for the side of Johnson and Wells will almost immediately be there and immediately be taken out. A flawless, and Broncos putting them in a corner and sweeping up the mess. Johnson and Wells, that success for the Broncos was on your hesitation. And they do say in other Riot games that hesitation is the seed of defeat. You not only planted that sucker, but you watered it and put some fertilizer on it too.
I mean, they spent a lot of utility, a tailwind and a smoke, just to try and gain control of the garage on the side of Johnson and Wells. And they got it. That's great. But then the wall goes up. And then the smoke goes down.
Yep.
And then the slow field goes down. And they just go nowhere. They end up stalled out, stuck in garage. This long sightliners watch, so they can't go forward. They end up trying to go backward, but that's right into the arms of the Broncos.
Oh, this could be devastating. If they can't find out where Dreammaker is and they have this ultimate, this could be disastrous for them. Grouping up so heavily, yes, it's a great idea, except if you have a giant explosive rocket coming at your Pez.
Not going to find anything, though. Boise State able to evade that, and they're going to answer back with one of their own. Here
nice
comes the raise.
A trade 1 versus 1. Another elimination on Soldier means he's only 1 pip away from the res. Might not need it just yet. It will be planted. Unfortunately, raise will be given out. They might actually need to get this resurrection on board shorter rather than later. That member of the team that they're looking for is either the Killjoy or the Omen, but the HP and the way to dart around this line of sight could be huge for them. One of these angles can be contested. It is 2 versus 3, and it's going to be made into a 2 versus 2, putting this player into the back corner. Cypher, you got to be careful. You ain't looking at anything just yet. 1 versus 1, and committing to the 50%. This is the right call. Making them play into their own smoke. That's all the right call. The turnaround, but unfortunately doesn't get to it in time, as Obi will clutch up yet again for Johnson and Wells. What looked disastrous for them at first turned incredibly successful, and the Broncos failed to secure those final last eliminations. And now it's 8-3. We've seen this every map so far.
That's true. Going into the final round of the first half has been an 8-3 score line every single time so far. What difference is, in the previous map, they They ended up going 9-3 before the half. In the map before that, it ended up being an 8-4 scoreline. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out with this final map here, because I can't really explain how. It's only one number difference, but somehow being 8-4 feels so much more manageable for a comeback than 9-3 does.
Right.
I can't explain why that is.
Well, it's one
just
less round, right?
Legit
Nice
Soldier playing a
shots.
very close angle there. He's going to be watching that wall closely. They might even throw a slow field down there and dare anybody to walk into it. Oh, no! He was blinded! That blind was still active, but it didn't matter. He had his crosshairs placed perfectly, did fate, and he just picks up the kill once he guessed somebody coming up the wall anyway, or the ropes, excuse me.
Soldier's angle is both risky but also paying off right now, getting 2 eliminations onto the side of Johnson & Wells, forcing them to go through ropes and now can maybe consider going through B. I do believe that the From the Shadows will be popped here from one side. We're still waiting to see. The off shot will get one. Not unfortunately this collateral that maybe they were looking for, but only losing 16 HP to do so is a great call. And here comes that res at such a clutch time as well. Voices 4 members of Boise hold up against 2 members and try to extinguish the candle of hope for them to get through that 9-3 scoreline.
Bronco's going to use...
And then they're ult theft as well. They know exactly where they are, knowing someone's on death corner, knowing someone was recently into heaven. Gonna get shot as King kind of clutches things up. Will get taken out in kind, but the detainment can deter things for only such a short time longer. Gonna go forward, Lycan looking for this defuse, is gonna get it, does not matter who has it, as long as they get it secured, and they do so. And now they go into the swap 4 rounds down as opposed to an entire 6, so a great call, ended up working out for them, and now it's time to see whether or not this momentum will continue.
Yeah, I mean,
Switching sides.
beautiful play there. The retake coming in from multiple angles, using the numbers advantage that the Broncos have to its fullest extent there. It's really easy when you have an opponent who has control of the site like that to funnel yourselves in one by one, and that's just a disaster waiting to happen. A series of 1v1s is how you overcome a man advantage. But being swung on by multiple people at the same time, like the Broncos did right there, is a death sentence if you're at a man disadvantage just like that.
I want a piece of a technology that I have to hit to make work like this boom bot.
Right? Just give it a little knock, just
give
to
it
let
a
it
little
know.
punch.
Tack, tack.
Now, we can see here that similar to that of the Boise State on defense, Johnson & Wells is not considering that they're just going to rush 1 point, and I think that's the right call, right? As opposed to considering themselves clumped up, this is a great opportunity. But in opposition to the way that Johnson & Wells played, they're spreading out their plan of attack here and could force a bit of a catastrophic events to happen. Shots here on the great cause. I do know they have the Killjoy trying to get themselves that nano grenade taken out, or that allure robot trying to get them taken out as well. Here comes the grenade from the other Rays, and not going to be able to get anything just yet. They do have the booster pack, still looking for that utility here in that weird kind of opportune grate that Killjoy can use on defense. But while this is being a point of contention, they are looking for the turret. They're putting kind of a beacon to say, at least there's somebody over here. The amount of players in which maybe is expected obviously isn't been picked up yet by Johnson & Wells, as they still, to this point, still have someone up there on hallway for this A side. And they still have their jet kind of contesting. Here comes the wall. It's going to be huge for them. The blind will come out. Shots in the death corner can be huge as well as he continues to get those ghost peeks as well. Another blind, another set of dismantlement. And Boise State, with the plan of action, gets completely torn apart as the defense from the side of Johnson & Wells was just too secure. And you got to question here, why did they hesitate so long in putting that plan of action forward?
It was exactly the same situation we saw on the other half from Johnson & Wales. They push through Garage instantly, take control of it, and then just kind of get stuck there. They don't feel comfortable pushing forward. They don't execute for a good 30 seconds or so. And that gives all of Johnson & Wales a multitude of options in dealing with them from multiple different angles. They all get over there, they rotate, and they have a plan of attack set up so that as soon as they hear the trigger pulled from Boise State, they all go down. I mean, you could see, the Broncos couldn't even play. They were blinded, and then stunned, and then blinded again. You just had 15 seconds of not being able to play the game. There's nothing you can do at that point.
And you can see, again, most of the utility being used on the A side, the B side, my apologies. And that's kind of what you are able to do on defense when you have a Killjoy. You can completely just put a complete stronghold of defense on 1 point. Nice shots being exchanged. On the other side of the map, there will be a trade of kills as well. Unfortunately, Obi will pick up an actual 3-piece solo. And that is the power of the judge, who knew it was long range, not me, but they are still able to get the plant here. It is just going to be your hat solo. Shots will be given all around, and here comes the damage. Being knocked down to just 55 HP. Here comes the blind as well, and the contest for sure. The recontest will be given, and they just have to defuse, and that will be such a short order for them. It's almost like just appetizers. Will they split the defuse? No, it's going to be full on over, and it's going to be given, of course, to the breach.
Honestly, just the judge plus short angles. Name a more iconic duo.
Yeah, it's true. It's tough to. Or Jared and, Baratel and shotguns in general will be the alternative duo of choice.
I mean, playing that short angle there was inspired by Obi. He picks up 3 by himself and is able to get hold the site almost single-handedly. When you're down to 2 players and one of them's already a little banged up, there's not much that can be done against a 4-player retake.
It's tough, right? Because in this moment, especially on attack with 6 rounds going to the favor of your opponents, it's tough to justify having a Cypher here. Yes, the surveillance is phenomenal on defense, but for this map in particular, it's also kind of a wash, right? You can't use the strip wire to much success. The cages don't end up doing much for you. Yes, you get the camera, which could be huge, but that can only get you so far, and then neural theft would be the only other saving grace in terms of abilities. Nice contest. Here comes the Lear, and finds someone scurrying away from that giant eyeball, much as like I would, and another shot here too, going over to the side of the Broncos, and now putting things down. A 4-2 call, and they're going to call out Johnson and Wells right now, seeing if they are able to make wash of this. And it's going to be a tough order. Not able to watch all the angles just yet, but Dreammaker just needs to hold this point to make sure no one rotates from mid.
Yeah, they absolutely made a much more aggressive and decisive push from multiple angles on that play, and you can see how it worked out dividends for them. They got all the kills that they needed, and now I doubt that Johnson and Wales are even going to try and play this. I bet you this is just a full save from them. Yeah, they'll get one. Obi will get one using his Phantom there, but that will be all she wrote, because when you're up that far, especially because Johnson and Wales feels like they have several rounds in their favor at this point, they can afford to throw away one if it ensures that they have good eco. But I just love the play from the Broncos out there. I want to see more rounds from them like that, where they just have a decisive, instant plan of action that just snaps into place, and then barely escaping with both of their lives, those players engaging in a fist fight at the end there.
Yeah, that was rather tough, and it looked almost disastrous with having Mandark with a sniper on this jet, someone who's been consistently accurate for the side of Johnson Wells, but they managed to get them to scurry, managed to push them off and not put them in a position of power anymore. They were able to get themselves that advantage due to, and as you had mentioned, a almost instantaneous putting the plan in action mentality, and I wonder if that's going to stick here. It looks like now Dreammaker picking up the judge, and I questioned whether or not they were going to start building some shotguns in their loadouts, and I can't be more happier because of the fact that almost everyone's purchased a shotgun so far.
This is the 4th round in a row that Dreammaker has sent his boombot in and then peeked through Garage early, and I'm really starting to question what exactly it's gaining. I mean, he didn't gain all that much in the way of information right there, and lost a lot of health. Now, Booty Bandito did pick up a couple kills of his own. He's going to salvage that. That's going to put the Broncos on sight. Wow, but the op answers it back with one of his own. Wow, that's crazy. The Broncos
shoot forward. Nice distraction. And it's because Lycan was able to slip under the radar, get themselves in a better position. Now they got to watch the angle from up there and from behind, because as you can clearly see, you don't want Obi sneaking up on you with that judge. Judge has been called, and it is a 2 versus 4, or 2 versus 2, my apologies. The health bar, though, unfortunately does look like Dreammaker is that of a dangerous one. No heal on board just yet. The slow orb will come out, 5 to 10. This could be an opportunity for the Broncos to get themselves to a manageable point. And the Tailwind will be punished as they put themselves in a dangerous position. Hiding yourself behind the wall could be the call here. Does have a heal on board, but doesn't want to waste it for just 11 HP. He meets the opposition with the short range versus the long range, and the Broncos will pick up a 2nd round win, getting things ever so close to this 10 points that they need to match.
Yeah, I mean, it was important to note that the team for Johnson Wales had a bit of a broken bye there. There were a couple sheriffs. It was a little bit strange to look at, but still nothing to be taken away from the Broncos there. The plan of attack that they executed, again, they go in with a plan. They execute immediately without hesitation, and it gets them something. I'm still starting to question what exactly Dreammaker pushing through Garage every round is really obtaining them, but they're able to translate that into a round win. So I'm far from, I'm the last person to judge. As long as you're picking up the W's, it doesn't matter.
Oh, and
the
again,
Bucky
we
comes
mentioned
out,
the
but gets
one-way
nothing.
will be huge. Shots will be given through the cage as well. It's going to be that shotgun that they're now respecting the range of, knowing that they have a way better time contesting with these longer to medium range exchanges. But as we kind of criticized before, it looked like, yet again, we had Dreammaker contesting Garage with that bone bot. Here's the res with the wall to back it up. The upwind and the, sorry, yeah, the upwind and the, I'm sorry, it's just like playing Duck Hunter at that point. Giving things now a 3-5 opportunity. Again, with Obi on the squad, in addition to the rest of them, it's tough to say whether or not this is a foregone round for the side of Johnson & Wales, but we'll have to end up seeing as, again, the Broncos are now putting themselves into action. No more hesitation because, again, they do not want to be the cultivators of that seed of defeat, and they are shooting through every blind, making sure that if they get a hit marker to say, I think I hit someone, we can continue to push this advantage. And 5 members now stalwart in defense on this the B point. They do not want to give any inch of opportunity for recontest here to the side of Johnson Wells. They desperately need this round to go their favor.
That aftershock comes in, not going to get anything. I love the play for Boise State to rotate back. They can tell that most of the players from Johnson & Wales have started to cheat. That's just a solid guess based on how quickly they normally rotate to sites. So you come back, you go to A, you force them to play into you, which you know they struggle with from previous maps. And there you are again. Once again, when Johnson & Wales are on the outside pushing in a retake scenario, they struggle. Boise State are starting to figure that out. They get on site first. They force Johnson & Wales to push into them, and it goes their way. They've narrowed the gap between the two teams to just 3 rounds now. We're looking at a game that could very well be tied up very quickly here.
Yeah, I had mentioned how critical it is to pick the right agents, and yes, on attack solely, it is a question mark in picking the Cypher, but when you get a plant, you make it almost uncontested with how much detainment, restriction, and preventative measures you have as a Cypher to prevent the recontest from going by well. Here comes the shots through market, going to go through garage. The storm and the aggression from the side of Johnson & Wales will be quickly punished with 2 members only remaining in the blink of an eye. A 2 versus 5 yet again. Make it a 1 versus 5 actually, and the Broncos will now be the ones with reservation. They will put themselves in a patient point, and they'll get rewarded for it supremely as just 1 member now of Johnson & Wales goes by, and that is, by the way, a flawless.
Boise State are so happy to let Johnson & Wales push into them there. They're like, they hear those footsteps coming through the garage. They're like, do you want to push into us?
I don't know about
all right,
that.
that's fine. We're good with that. Bandito alone picks up 3 all on his lonesome right there. And then, at the end of the round, the Broncos have such great map control. Look at where Fate is playing and where all the Broncos are after that. He's so dead. They're pinched in around him. I think the Broncos have an excellent understanding of where to push from at different moments in the map to get the map control that they need. They are excellent at pinching in players from Johnson & Wales so that they die from multiple different angles and not just taking from one angle and rushing all as 5. And I think that plays into their advantage a lot of the time. I mean, they have 4 players stacked to A side, but they still have 1 player playing over at Garage just to make noise, just to put that little bit of doubt in the mind of Johnson & Wales to make them, not totally sure that they know where the hit is coming from. That little bit of doubt can make all the difference in a game when information is so crucial.
Wow.
Obi trades out with Lycan. They're each going to get one.
Oh, no!
He took his hat off!
That's
you never
what happens.
Take the hat
You never
off.
take your hat off.
He took the hat off and got himself killed with the hat off his head. But A-Site has complete control for the side of the Broncos. And your hat has complete control of Heaven.
Oh, you're absolutely kidding me.
They didn't expect a backstab.
You're
Dreammaker gets what he needs.
Absolutely insane.
Oh my goodness, the backstab from Dreammaker. He has no fear. Walked all the way
19
up.
rounds of doing the same motion.
They finally get
yet
something.
It pays off in a huge way.
He moves all the way up A site with 0 fear and gets the backstab, 2 kills of his own, and then your hat is left with the cleanup. I cannot believe that he got so far uncontested. And that is a weakness in Johnson & Wales. We've said it time and time again. They over-rotate. They abandon sites way too quickly, and they leave sites without an anchor to keep with information there. And that is starting to pay dividends for the Broncos. They're starting to understand that, there you go, that the chink in the armor for Johnson & Wales is in misdirection and in, trying to keep them off balance.
You got it. the resolve of Dreammaker just as a whole, sticking to Odin's and Ares, pushing this garage on repeat, it's remarkable. They get the 1-for-1 trade. They may have gotten some damage on Jet. It does look like it was just a little bit. And that kind of advantage could be the difference maker in these kind of clutch rounds. 9-10, the Broncos were at such a huge deficit. But again, with them keeping to themselves, the mental fortitude of this team is proving as to why they're able to make these comebacks.
Yeah.
In any other given situation, a team would be, I think, further beyond tilted than a word can be said on stream. But when it comes down to it, with the ability to keep forward and keep putting these plans in action with quickness, not hesitation, not giving themselves too much of a birth of time, they're able to continue to walk away with these.
And look at this. Once again, the Broncos fake some misdirection. They push a little A. They get a kill, and all of a sudden,
the rotation, though.
4 out of 5 players for Johnson and Wales are all rotated the wrong direction. They smoke off the one player playing in heaven. That's a pretty safe bet that he's there. And then all of a sudden, the Broncos have a free plant. They didn't have to fight a soul on A site in order to get this plant down. And now, Johnson and Wales are on the outside looking in. They're going to send in the red carpet. They're going to try and find somebody with that rolling thunder, and then they're going to push in with the blind at their back. They're going to find one. But Booty Bandito will answer back and get 2 on his own. He sees where the final one is. He may not get it, but it doesn't matter because even if he had lost that fight, there was no time left for Fate to get the defuse. And we are tied up. This was 4-10 a few rounds ago. Boise State was down 6 rounds, and they brought it all the way back.
You can't. And this is exactly why you can't count out any team. Yes, 4-8 looks terrible. 4 rounds down. Getting yourselves even further down by 6. It's not the end of the world. You just need to play each round as if they're individual with what resources you have. And now things are considered. It's been a pretty dusty time for the Wallace of the Johnson and Wales team. While the Broncos continue to pad that information. Oh, a fantastic Mandark. Get that operator here in the Jet hands, and you will see some relative success. 4 versus 5 now. Just as we had mentioned, things can just swap out at a moment's notice. Another dodge of the operator. You got to be careful, Bandito, as they are looking for you. And they are going to continue to look for you as they are pushing through the middle side of the map. No real clear advantage for the side of the Broncos to push through that chink of the armor, but it does look like they have someone on the backside towards that airport location. How interestingly named it may be, it does look like they have someone in the wings to maybe get a nice rotational play. Obi will be found out and actually lose the 1v1. This is so uncharacteristic of them. And in these clutch moments, again, Voices, this could be what makes or breaks the entire round. Nice opportunity, and this is why you pick the Cypher. He goes up all the way on the rope, tries to go over that wall, and they know where someone's got to be shortly. Spike will be planted, so the beeping will start, and how incessant that beeping sounds when you've been on a 4-round loss streak, such as the Johnson Wells. They want to shut up that beeping as much as possible, but the leer will come out. Here comes the rope challenge as well. They're going to shoot through the wall, and this is a dangerous opportunity for them to use the stage wall against them. No ultimates will be used or operatives able to be used here. Shot here from Mandark will pick up another headshot. Will be traded. They need to get this off the board immediately. The moment that they remove this operator for use, it can be the turning point. And the beeping continues to take forward. If they have enough time, they will actually get it. Exit kills will be all that Johnson and Wells can salvage here. And they are not able to get one. He actually gets himself out of dodge with the clutch. And I don't believe it, ladies and gentlemen. Bandito is playing like a man possessed right now.
Styling on them with the dismiss. He gets the exit kill. He would have been dead anyway. There's no way that anybody has the time to get out there from Johnson and Wales. But Bandito's going to take it from him anyway. And then he's going to dismiss to keep himself out of danger. Just to give it to him a little more.
Insane. That's a pixel perfect play.
Oh my goodness, that was filthy. And I can't believe that Obi lost the 1v1. He had the drop on Legit Soldier pushing up.
I don't think he's ever lost a 1v1 this entire series.
He had the drop on Legit Soldier pushing up through ramps anyway, and it still didn't go his way. That was very uncharacteristic for him. They're going to send it. I was afraid that after too long, this play would start.
Here's the judge play.
That is the judge play. He gets one, but it's not going to be enough. They answer back with 2 of their own, and the spike's going to go down. Once again, Johnson and Wales on the outside looking in. They've got a retake while the spike is already down. We know they struggle here, especially
and
after
the res coming out. Uh-oh. Things just got a little bit more testy for the side of Johnson & Wales. They were not expecting the full stampede of the Bronco squad, and they still don't expect it. All members are here, and that is going to technically be a pseudo-flawless. The res kind of counts, I guess. And the Broncos have put themselves from the depths of despair onto match point. Ladies and gentlemen, again, never count your team or any team out until the final plays.
It is not over until the announcer sings. And wow, the Broncos have run it back 8 rounds in a row they have going their favor, and they are now on match point.
And
this is
yet
going
again,
to overtime.
Dreammaker is doing the tried and true Dreammaker stretch, putting out the boom bot, saying, I'm still here. I'm going to be a thorn in your side the entire time. Here comes the fire in the hole. The ultimates will be given out, and that is from the side of, I do believe, Johnson & Wales. Not going to be able to get much of anything else. Dreammaker need to get themselves out of dodge, and here comes the upwind and the tailwind as well. Updraft will be met, but only with a spray of bullets, 1 versus 1, and they meet themselves a level of success that is paramount in success here. The shots here from Fate will be getting a headshot, but again, the Broncos will push things forward. Here comes, I do believe, the slowing orb. Yes, it is so, to cut off any moment of angles for the side of, oh my goodness, Johnson & Wales are scrambling to find themselves an edge to move forward, but every opportunity they meet, every angle is challenged, and the Broncos are holding on to their lives for success. This could be it. They only need to get this 1 round, but will that get to their heads? Will they be able to secure it? Ultimates will be given out, and now there are only 2 members. Make it 1 member. It's a Jet versus the world, ladies and gentlemen. 4 versus 1. It is possible. Mandark has been a menace with this operator, but can they stand the test of time? No! They get outflanked yet again by Bandito, and the Broncos will take the map. They'll take the series, and they'll take the big W too.
Huge win for the Broncos. Massive comeback both after the loss last week and after the early loss that they took in the first map of this series. They absolutely came back and gave it to Johnson & Wales in that second and third map. And I was afraid for Johnson & Wales. Once it seemed that the Broncos had found their number, they understood that Johnson & Wales struggles to retake sites. It was all over. I mean, Johnson & Wales had no answers for pushing into a site that Boise State already had control of, and it was like that all game long. Once Boise State had found that out, they made that their mission, and it came through in spades for them. Oh.
Now you're tired again, huh?
I don't know. I'm emotionally drained and so happy for our Broncos team coming out here tonight. Oh, just a reminder for all of you out there that Boise State Esports is always looking for talented players, production, and broadcast talent. Top talent, along with good grades and eligibility, can earn scholarships as well. Sign up today by visiting boisestate.edu/esports for more information. If you want to be this breathless and sweaty watching a match,
I'm just sweaty in general, but this is like a new level.
To be.
This is intense. That's the only word I can use to describe it. That was an intense closer, and that could have been an intense closer going either way, to be honest. Both teams really playing their heart out, and that's why they're both at 3-1, or maybe I should say one of them's at 3-2 now, where the other's maybe a little bit higher with the 4-1 record.
Yeah, I mean, so many times Bandito was on point with his backstab, just understanding with the game sense and the map knowledge to know roughly where Johnson & Wales would be, and was there at the perfect moment to backstab them and put them off balance. Just incredible. Every single player from the Boise State Broncos came out swinging tonight, and I cannot say enough good things about their strategy, their perseverance, and the usefulness that they found in finding the one weakness that Johnson & Wales had in the retake and just wrenching every last bit of usefulness from it. So well played. And I think a lot of credit has to be given to the coach of the Broncos, Maggie Borland. Has just done such a wonder from them between last semester and this semester. We saw how much their strategic thinking and their gunplay has come together to make them such a team to beat.
And, I mean, to be honest, it's based off of history of doing so as well for other rosters as well. I mean, if you remember, Blue being one of the primary components of strategic advantage for the Overwatch squad, that kind of stuff just carries over in that leadership role.
Absolutely. We're going to close things off tonight here. We are worn out. That was quite a game. I gotta go calm down.
You had mentioned that we had everyone on the same level of success, but I think we're able to determine both a player of the game tonight, which is a rare treat in and of itself, and a top 5 plays, if I'm getting the right word from production.
We are. We have both of those lined up for you tonight, so we're going to sign off and let you take a look at both of those wonderful pieces put together by our magical production team. Let's give it out to them. Signing off for the night. Good night, everybody. That was a wonderful one. That combined with the fact that Johnson the Whales has hit A in almost every round previous, gives them a pretty good idea where this hit's coming from. And they react beautifully. They're going to get 4 kills before anybody from Boise State drops. Bandito picks up the final one, and that is a quick 6th round for Boise State. Perfectly, because Johnson and Whales game plan, their entire speed of play has completely from the last map. They seem terrified and push into map and push into each choke point extremely slowly.
What?
Through the smoke!
You're kidding.
Gets 2 through the smoke, does Bandito, and now Johnson and Whales, like you said, they're
with bullets and maybe fire here shortly. Going through the door, it's going to be shot, but a nice wall bang and headshot from Dreammaker will even things up. Here comes the spike being planted down. The shock dart will be given. No damage will be used. The lure will be used on the backside, and shock will be exchanged everywhere. Another shock dart will be given out, and that will be a huge enough amount of damage. Bandito capitalizing on that, putting the Peter. Get this off the board immediately. The moment that they remove this operator for use, it can be the turning point, and the PP continues to take forward. They have enough time. They will actually get it. Exit kills will be all that Johnson Wells can salvage here, and they are not able to get one. He actually gets himself out of dodge with the clutch, and I don't believe it, ladies and gentlemen. Be a nice solo v solo, and Dreammaker are going to try and prove again that they're the more successful one, but this time they're going to consider, and they do. They commit to the defuse, knowing it's not going to be pushable. The last few seconds will be huge, and they actually try to dodge away from the bullets, but he does actually end up getting it. He will get taken out at the last second, and I think it's just because he was able to move it